Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic, TBC Classic, Wrath Classic, and their communities. I am Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and today we're joined by Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. It's Wednesday. It's weird to see all of you, but
It is a little weird. It is a little weird.
It's true. It's bizarre. You're not allowed to talk to me on this day. I don't know how you got me.
I know. Yeah, Wednesdays are not yip days, so now I'm just really thrown off.
Well, that
Yeah,
voice you
Bob.
hear is Ryan, aka The Yip Show, and yeah, just thinking about it, don't you normally have Dungeons and Dragons on this? Did you cancel Dungeons and Dragons for us?
I didn't okay, I don't think any of them watch this, but I didn't cancel specifically. But one of our members is on tour. He's in a band, and he was gonna miss this week. So I was like, I don't really even want to play without this guy anyway. He's a fundamental part of the group. I'll just say I can't make next week. That works out perfectly. So I just said that, and then it got canceled, but I
Mm.
didn't cancel it. I just helped the canceling go along quicker. That's like the best way to phrase it. So yes, uh,
Assisted in the canceling.
I assisted in the canceling. I should be right now. I should be Elredor, my Fearbolg paladin. But instead, I'm here as Yip, and we'll
Is
somehow
there a
make that
reason
work.
you're a paladin in Dungeon and Dragons?
Um, that's a good
I'm
question.
I'm just wondering if there's any
You know,
WoW
it
like
fit the group comp really well. No, it's
mm.
not like WoW. I'm much cooler than a paladin in WoW. My auras are much more impressive.
Mm.
First of all, and by the way, I'm not gonna harp on this. Literally everything in WoW has been stolen from Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
It's
Well,
unbelievable.
and I was gonna say, right when Mel asked that, I was gonna be like, well, Paladins are cooler outside of World of Warcraft. Because
Yeah.
I feel like I wanted to be a paladin, and then when I played paladin in WoW, and no shade on you paladins, but it just wasn't what I was envisioning a paladin would be.
Well, get this. I'm not what you'd envision either. So I am a like cow giant. Okay, so that's what a fearbolg
You're
is.
like a
It's not a
horde.
fur. It's not a furbolg. It's a fearbolg. And I'm a paladin who's taken the oath of the ancients, an oath older than the elves themselves, from someplace much
Mm.
more mystical than the material plane. And so I'm basically like a green knight. Like I'm covered in moss and like I'm like a druid paladin basically. Like I'd have like antlers on my helmet kind of thing, and I'm like, that's all. That's all I got to say about that. It's cool.
So
It's like a druid paladin.
But a
I
cow,
don't
not a
shape
bull,
shift.
right?
Yeah, well,
So not a minotaur.
it's like I'm not like a cow. I'm like a hairy giant guy. Basically, is I'm basically playing myself, but I'm covered in moss. That's basically the only difference. I'm myself covered in moss. That's Dungeons and Dragons. Exciting stuff.
Oh
Okay,
god.
fair, fair. All right, well, guys, this is an early episode. I just want to explain to everybody real quick what's going on. So you're getting this, should be getting this on Thursday. Now, you were supposed to get the GDKP interview with Game Freak today, but we needed to record early this week's show because Mel and I are going to be at Kansas City's Planet Comic Con Friday through Sunday. So we wouldn't have a chance to record. And what we're going to talk about today is the announcements from yesterday. And it wouldn't make a lot of sense to put that out on the following Monday. So we're going to put this out on Thursday. Then on Monday, you will get that GDKP interview. So look forward to that. It's not gone. It just makes a lot more sense. It's not as time sensitive as what we're going to talk about today.
It's like timeliness before godliness, and since Game Freak has gotten 99s and is a god, we're just putting the timely
We
interview
don't we
and
don't feel bad, pushing him.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So, start of the show, I'd like to remind everybody we do stream live on Twitch at twitch.tv/blazinbob. That's BLAZZINBOB. Normally on Friday nights, sometimes Saturdays. We have somebody from other countries, from across the pond, but normally Friday nights. So this show, we had no new reviews. We've been a little dry on those as of late, so help us out on those if you can. But we're not going to do any of those, but we're going to go through what we've been doing. It's not much as we recorded, not too long ago. I guess it was still like 5 days, but then we're gonna, go over a little bit of raid progress. There's only like one thing to talk about, but it's a pretty happy thing to talk about. And then we're gonna go over the news that doesn't pertain to the Wrath announcements. And then we're gonna finish off with the Wrath announcements. So strap in, get ready, let's go. Been doing anything in WoW lately? Yep.
Absolutely not. I have not been doing anything other than raiding. That is my signature move these days. Uh, I will probably be doing more Karazhan's here since Sunwell is launching a little bit sooner than I was thinking, and everything costs an insane amount of badges. There's a weapon that I can get, and it's 150 badges.
Yep.
So might want to pop in a couple Karazhan's, but other than that.
Oh man. Yeah, so it's there's a lot. There's some stuff that is cheaper. There's some nice rings coming out that are gonna be 60 badges. But there is a lot of different stuff, and the weapons are 150 badges, and it's gonna be nuts. And we don't even know. I'd assume once Sunwell hits, then BT and Mount Hydra will be dropping badges, but I haven't actually read that anywhere, so I'm just assuming that. I don't know that to be the case.
True, I would assume that too. I think that's what happened last time, so I am hopefully that does happen this time too, because we're all gonna be desperate for badges, and if not on your main, then definitely on your alts when all this gear comes out.
Yep, yep. Well, I know Mel hasn't been doing anything in WoW, but
Excuse me, I
have you?
have.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I've been trying to rally the healer troops against Yip for his comments made on healers yesterday
Well,
last podcast.
it didn't work at
And
all. First of all,
so
horrible
here's the
job.
thing. If you were a DPS, we would have let you die every single time. Every time. No doubt about it, would have let you die.
Sad part is he
Because you were
knows this.
tanking.
He knows his
I
power.
know. I know. But we did have some fun communication in our healer chat about you. So
That's okay.
next time you're not main tanking, don't expect to heal.
So,
You go cat form, you die.
we did do
I
something.
deserve it. It's okay.
We did do something a little weird though. Mel tried to get her to play. I think it was Saturday night. I tried to get her to play and do some ZA, but she'd had a long week, and she was like, "ZAs have been like hit or miss, stressful or easy peasy." So she's like, "I don't want to take any chance of stress tonight." So I'll
Yeah,
play
I had just gotten
something.
back from working like 12 hours a day all week out of town. And I was just like, I literally don't want to do anything but sit on the couch and watch Netflix. That's all I want to do this weekend. Leave me alone.
So you know me, I'm horrible, and I keep like, "Well, what if we played something else?" And she's like, I'm like, "What if we played Star Wars: The Old Republic?" Because we've been talking about wanting to just work up characters, not take it seriously, but just work them up and just see the storylines we didn't see back in the day because it's free. And so I talked her into that, and we actually played
No, no,
that.
no. This is how the conversation went. Well, we could play Star Wars a little later tonight. Does that sound good? And I was like, I don't know, Bob. I don't know. And he goes, okay. And then about 10 minutes later, he comes over and he's like, so if you think you're going to want to play Star Wars, maybe we should probably start it downloading. I don't know how long that's going to take. And I'm like, I said, I don't know. And he's like, okay, I'm just saying, if there's a chance we should probably download it. And I'm like, oh my God, leave me alone. And so he starts downloading it, and
And she got up on her
Wait.
own and walked over there and started downloading it as well.
Yes,
Good
he
thing
did
we
not have to
did. It took
forcefully
forever.
carry me to my computer to get me to engage in this. But also, I have noticed that Bob has turned off my editing access on
Did
our
I
notes.
send it? Is it
Rude.
not editor? Weird.
Bob's
I'm
taking
just saying.
control.
Hmm.
Yeah, right?
Was an
He's
accident
like,
then.
you can't add notes.
So, yeah, so we played that and like that's went through a lot of changes and it was a little, it was a little weird, but I guess the class I ended up picking was basically stolen from Rogue class because you get bubbles, you spend bubbles, get a lot more bubbles, but you still the same concept it seemed like. And Mel picked a healer class somehow, and yeah, we played through that. And it's the story in that is really good, man. Like we had a good time doing it. I don't see it as more than a one night a week type of deal, but it was a good time. Oh, as for
Okay.
me in game, I've been doing all kinds of stuff. I got my rep up in Kurenai to get my Talbuck mounts. Then I told you I was going to work on all the main factions,
Yep.
and I was telling you how easy that was going to be. Well, it is easy, but I did underestimate the amount of time it would take. Like you're going to be doing like all of the Darnassus starting area, all of Darkshore, all of Ashen Vale. Like it's
I did feel like you undersold it last week. I was kind of thinking like I did do this in Wrath on I had to do it twice because like I was originally playing like a friend's account and then I went back to my main account in old Wrath. So I
mhm.
had to do it twice and I was like it's definitely easier, but I think the second time I even skipped doing the starting zones because I was like, "Oh no, thank you."
Nah, no.
Yeah, well, and I'm also like paying attention and not doing anything that if I do a drop rate quest and I don't get at least 2 in the first 4 kills, I'm like, nope, I'm out. Like I'm like drop
Alright.
quest, like none of that because there is plenty of quests. So, that's gonna take probably a little bit longer than I thought, but I'm having a good time doing it, and yeah, that's all I've really been doing there. I've been doing a lot of PvP. Been doing some turbo with the warrior. Been doing all kinds of weird, different stuff with the rogue. Been getting a little better at that. Lots of people teaching me stuff, and just you just keep learning, and then you forget some of the stuff you learned, and then you relearn that again. It reminds me of golf, like. WoW PvP reminds me of golf. You learn like 7 new things and forget 4 things that you learned like weeks prior, and
You gotta follow through, Bob. Come on.
it's an ongoing process. So that's what I've been doing there, and then that's basically, as far as I can think of it, really kind of it for what I've been doing. Haven't worked on any new characters or anything like that. Been doing that. So, do we want to go over some raid progress? Only had one night.
Yes, we did only have one night, but one night was all that was required because, as it turns out, having what I like to call a teacher level nervous breakdown, like I had, worked out perfectly. Um, everyone really
It was a
came
come to
together.
Jesus moment.
Everybody really came together, and put it. They tried their best, and I think something that was good about our raid night. So I don't think there was like any boss that stood out.
Okay, wait,
Uh,
can I start this with my thoughts at the beginning of our raid? Because
yes.
at the beginning of our raid, I noticed that Yip wasn't in Raider chat, right? And I was like, if Yip is not here by 8:50, I am never going to let him live that down. I am going to ream him. And then I realized you were in the raid and you were in
I was in the
and
raid.
yeah,
Oh,
Funny
I was
you
really
say that.
disappointed.
I started the raid standing next to Harskar at the stone for 20 minutes, like waiting like 8:30 till like, 10 minutes till I was just with Harskar. I was like, if someone needs a fucking thing, we're getting it to him, Like I was like
See, everyone really comes together. I had that same thought. I was running a little bit late in my schedule, and I was like, "Oh, I haven't eaten. I have to like get a drink. I need to like go to the bathroom before raid time." And I was like, I need to park inside. I need to like
This is
be
the
in
one day
here
you can't have
ready
that
to
happen.
go. Like I need to be here and ready when we're ready to pull. And
Oh.
hey, we pulled at 6:55. Um, so it worked out great. But Harscare, our wonderful glorious raid leader, guild leader, uh pushed us to the next level. I felt like we had some really good we had like no downtime was actually the best way to phrase it. He
Yeah.
we were moving. We did the thing where for high jaw we stay at the front up where they spawn. That was a lot better with our full healer core. Our full healer core was awesome. That felt great to have back, and the healers did do an incredible job.
I
As much
feel
as
like
Oh
I'm
yeah.
begrudgingly saying it, but we had very few deaths.
I I feel like that saves more time than anybody can realize because I mean, you're literally waiting what felt like a good 45 seconds between pulls. And in
Yeah,
this,
at 0 time.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
literally boom, right? Just immediately.
But it wasn't hard. I wasn't there the last time you guys did it, and I think it
It
was
was
a little
hard
bit
without
harder.
you. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think having full healers, right, and having circle of healing, which is just covers the raid healing, really, right? And I think all of that. I mean, it did not seem hard at all.
Yeah, no, that was totally good up front. And I think we were also like at 24 or something last time too. So it was pretty crazy and we didn't know what we were doing. So this time was super clean. We only did it for the first set of waves, and then for the second set, we just tanked them back on the gate again, but on the right side, which didn't feel much different at all. But it was good. High Jaw was insanely clean. I feel like we had like
Mhm.
almost no deaths during it. It was just incredibly clean.
I didn't die at all in high jaw.
Yeah, yeah, that's the kind of night that it was. And then yeah, I mean Archimond always has some RNG, but even that was extremely clean. I feel like we had 0 deaths on Archimond, or if we had 1 death, it was like after he was at
No,
10%
we didn't.
or something. Yeah.
I think it was zero. It was one thing I will say for me is I had the worst boss like Mount Hygel ever. If you want a good laugh, just go to my VOD and just check out each of the bosses. Literally everything that could go wrong with me or any mechanic that could hit me did. I mean, like the last boss, immediately when lust is called, boom, shot up in the air. Like the first boss, immediately when, or the second boss, immediately when lust is called, slept. Like, I mean, everything where like then there was the other boss where the decay spawned underneath me. I moved, got half of a cast off when it spawned underneath me again. I had to move again. I mean, it was just the worst luck I could have ever had. But it was very annoying at the time, but comical now looking back. It's just like when
Not
everything
all about
goes
you,
wrong.
Bob.
I know. It was a good, yeah, but it was a good run. Like in trash, I did feel like I put out good numbers. So that was my goal. My goal wasn't really boss parsing this time around. It was like
Not to
trash.
AFK during track.
Well, the
Well,
bosses
and
are
just
pretty crazy.
I changed up what I've been doing too. I just started doing like the other locks and just I mean it seems like tank threat is fine and throwing up the dots, the 3 or 4 dots at the start just isn't worth it. I go right into doing seed and it seems fine. So that helped a ton too.
Yeah. What's crazy is with a lot of the bosses in this tier, I feel like there are just a lot of RNG aspects where you're like, I'm ready to parse, and then I'm asleep, or like I just got
Yep.
murdered by an ice bolt from Winter Chill or some crazy stuff. It can be hard to parse when you want to, on these boss fights. Like, or you just get doomed. Like, there's instant kill mechanics in some of these fights. It's kind of insane for parsing purposes, but the big thing that helped with our time, and the reason we're able to finally get like we've one nighted before, but it's always like we have to take an extra 30 minutes. Um, this one was really clean, and we only went a few minutes over, and we still had a few wipes. But what was really good is like our downtime between trash was just so low. We were just pulling, pulling, pulling. Everyone was really aware and on top of it, and it really goes to show. And I think where some of my original frustrations come from, it's like that everyone can play well. So when like people aren't playing well, it's so much more apparent because like we obviously all are good. People can put out some insane numbers, but when everyone's there and on top of it, like we were flying through it. And it was a really good raid. It felt really good. to get it done. We got, excitedly, now we can celebrate for real, another glaive. We got an
Got another
offhand
offhand.
glaive for our boy Casimo, who's been patiently waiting and kicking bosses for us, hoping for a glaive to come. And now that he's got the offhand, as soon as another main hand drops, he'll be getting that as well too, of course. So hopefully we can get that before Sunwell comes out. I assume people are going to be still wanting to do some Black Temple after Sunwell, but we'll see how that all goes. It's going to be tough. Progression is hard to balance with like doing old raids. Is pretty much the way it goes. And as we'll talk about a little bit today too, I think Sunwell might end up being relatively hard, so there might be some progression time required before that's on farm.
Yeah, yeah. And there's significantly less bosses, and we will talk about it in a second. There could be gaps. There could be here. We'll just talk about how the bosses might be rolling out differently than people are really thinking about. But real quick anecdote for raid. So I don't know if anybody's gonna care about this, but it would like drove me a little nuts. But I found something new that I think I'm gonna incorporate into raid. I don't know if anybody else has the capability of doing it too. So I did I stayed up super late the night before the announcements, and I was like, I'll get 4 hours of sleep, I'll get 4 hours REM, wake up, check the announcements out, take a nap before raid, everything will be fine. Well, the announcements came. I was hyped. I was in everybody's stream talking with everybody about like what they thought of everything, and I was way too hyped to ever take a nap. I was still hyped, doing good all through about Hyjal. Then we went to Black Temple, and I hit a wall. Like, I was literally falling asleep between poles on trash and like nodding off. Like, in like high school where you like your head starts to fall and you shoot back up. That was happening to me, and it was horrible. I'm sitting there slapping myself in the face, trying to like wake up like you do when you're on a long road trip, and like I was just like, oh, and I'm like standing up a bit, and then I was like, dude, why don't I just put my desk, because my desk moves from sit to stand. I stand every time I podcast. I was like, I'm just gonna try standing for a raid. It was like the last maybe 45 minutes. I went to standing, and man, I should have done that in the beginning. I felt more refreshed. I wasn't nodding off. Like it was way better. And so I'm thinking I'm gonna do like last half of every raid standing, because it really helped. And I think on days that I'm, not tired, it'll even make me more mentally acute. That point in which you start to kind of you like you kind of lose it later on in raid, like the last hour. I think that'll help with that. And I just wonder if anybody else has that capability to go from sit to stand. I wonder if anybody else has tried that. I was just
Yeah,
curious.
I think that is a good first step, but if you really want to start gaming, I want to see you raiding while doing squats. I want to see you go up and down for the whole boss fight and see how you parse like that.
Yeah, well, I thought you were gonna go a different WAP slime in our guild, or Skeet is always saying that I need a pee jug.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so you don't have
So
to get up.
if you ever see me like really concentrating on stream,
No.
you never know what might be happening right there.
Listen, when you make
I
a
will
drink,
know.
get just a huge mason jar for your
No,
drink, and
do
then
not encourage this. No, no. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
but with standing position, it might be a lot easier, I don't know.
I will say the only downside of getting this back on topic here, the only downside of how quickly we were going was that I think now we need like a healer rotation of drinking, because what happens is that all of our
just sit and
healers
drink.
sit and drink at the same time, and then all of a sudden there's like 6 people dead, right? And we're all still at like a third mana
Oh,
because we've been pulling, right?
see,
And I remember what we used to do in my like original vanilla raid was you had like groups of healers, right? Like after, you know, group one's going to sit and drink, group two cover their targets, right? And things like that. Cause I think that would help, right? It would help
Oh,
us,
you had like a
one,
healer
kind
buddy,
of, yeah, I mean, it would help you
like
kind of like
the buddy
split up
system.
the split up the people who are drinking versus the people who are healing. I know you can't always, like, it's not always going to work like that, right? Because not everybody's going to be out of mana at the same time, but if your group's called, then you drink and the other people just know they have to cover rather than them not knowing who's covering healing and thinking like, hey, Yip's been covered, so why would I throw extra heals on him right now? Oh, Yip's dead. That
Yeah,
wasn't on purpose, I promise.
I think that's definitely smart. With the chain pulling, there were definitely it was the first time I was like interested in using innervates during trash. I still only did it before council the one time, but I was like, I feel like at this point I should just be innervating Mel and we keep
Yeah,
going because we were
it's
just pulling. Like,
literally always on like
yeah,
zero.
That's
as
And
soon as we
Circle of Healing's
pulled, we're like,
expensive.
that's another thing with me. I was really tired, so there was that too. But I was treating it also just like Mount Hyjal, where the threat's great usually on big packs immediately, and I was just like going a little faster on that too. So I died probably more often than I ever do in Black Temple last night. But
Everybody died a
yeah,
little bit more in Black Temple than we did in Hyjal. I think one thing about doing Hyjal first is I think Hyjal is definitely easier, right? And so you do Hyjal and you do so great, and then you go into Black Temple, and then people are a little less like fresh, and they think that they're gonna get away with some of the things that maybe they got away with in Hyjal. But I mean, overall, I still think it was a great night. I think there was things we can clean up to make it go a little bit faster, but at the same time, that's kind of a lot of work, and we still did it in one night. So Kim gives me mana pots, so I don't mind popping mana pots.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, it went really well. And still, like I want to say, we did still wipe like 4 times on bosses, so we
Hmm.
like it could have been even faster. That's how
Yeah.
crazy we were going really fast. I think that was a much faster than the 3 hours that it took. It's just like, our dude, I mean, I don't want to be like a denialist, but some of those wipes were not our fault. Okay, Blood Boil just like turned around in the middle of the fight
Oh
and just
yeah.
murdered everybody. It was like, okay, hold on a second,
Like
that's not
what
fair.
just happened? Yeah, that
Yeah,
was insane.
we were getting like, I don't know. Some people were saying it was avoidable, but we had a wipe on Mother. But it just felt like people just kept getting teleported with the attraction onto the tanks, making it like really weird and awkward. Like I just took an insane amount of damage there. I was just like, well, all right, like what are you gonna do? It's like
What's
it was
crazy?
going so smooth with no deaths, and then suddenly it's like, wow, everyone's dying.
Yes,
Oh, I didn't even
everyone's
think
dead.
about that. What's crazy is that so the time that so people got teleported onto the tanks twice, one with the wipe and one with the actual kill. But the first time I got teleported there both times. And the first time I was like, do I run towards the group or through the boss? Like it really wasn't like because the other person ran straight up, like the only safe place to run. And so one person ran towards the group, and I ran through the boss, and then I killed all the tanks, and then someone else killed, like a whole bunch of the group. And I was
That's when
like
you
sitting
all
there
three
going,
run the same way together and
"Well,
just kill
we should
yourselves.
have just stood there, just died." That's what they said after the fact. But like, I was sitting there going, "I think I just killed all the tanks. Fuck, what should I have done?" And then so it happens again. And two of us, I don't know who the third was that ran off, but two of us stayed and just died right there, right? But someone ran off. I heard someone complaining at somebody, but I didn't hear who. But it was,
Listen, that's another one of those mechanics, like the one with the boss that like puts you like kills you and then you have to like kill the skeletons and things like that. Like it's another one of those mechanics that people don't get very often. Like I've gotten it once
you're talking about
total.
Terran Gorfian and the ghoul things
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
ghost things.
That, but in the mother mechanic where you get like shot somewhere else, right? Like that's happened to me once. Like I feel like
It
I
happened to me the first time, not this week, but last week. I forgot to talk about that too.
no, I know the
Oh,
Terran Gorfian,
I
the Terran
did it
Gorfian
okay
thing.
though.
The week after Bob was like, "It's never happened to me. I'm just gonna think it's never gonna happen to me." So we're just gonna go with that. And then literally the next week on Terran Gorfian, he gets it, and I was just dying laughing.
Oh, it was yeah, but like luckily I was the second person to get it. Whoever did it first failed it. Like, because I saw like when I was there, but I at least walked back there and died where I was supposed to, and I messed up one of the things, but I did freeze them, and then I did ice lands. But when I think two of them were dead, and I was working on the third, we killed the boss. So
Yeah,
it was
we kill it so fast that it's like we could almost ignore it. It feels like
Right.
altogether because we're killing it so fast now. But I felt the same way. So last week I was a cat on that boss for the first time, and I was like, please do not get me. Like, please, I will not. Like I don't have to learn 90% of the mechanics and raids. I don't know what they do. Like when I was on the Gentis, like Harscare's like, yeah, what are you doing? You're fence sitter, and I'm like, I don't even know what he's talking about right now. Like, I never had to do mechanics.
well,
Like,
I mean, to be fair, I don't know if Harskar would know about the fence stuff if we didn't have that one night gut like found out for us that you could die super easily on,
uh,
on the fences there.
What about the
funny.
fence? What
The
fence?
fences that pop up with fire in Zol Aman, they're
Yes. On them.
like you can kill yourself
Oh,
on them.
yes, I did kill myself on that once. I
Yeah,
did not know that was possible. It looks like
right.
just a wall and a barrier, right? Like
Yep.
you can't exit here. No, it will kill you if you touch it.
It
Yep.
Yeah.
seems like random. Like it could just be a wall, but it's just extra punishing to kill you for no reason.
Yeah.
Like once you know it kills you, you're not gonna run into it again. But it's just like
Yeah.
why? Why did you
But it's
kill
like
me
when
this
you look
once?
at it, you don't think like that's probably gonna kill me if I run
Yeah.
into it, right?
You'd
Like,
you'd think they'd be up the whole honestly, the fight would look cooler if those walls were up the whole time, like, on the Zol fight at the end, that wall comes up and you get locked out. Um, it'd be cool if they were just all flame walls like that you die if you run into.
yeah.
Yeah,
You try to enter a little late, right?
I
Instead of
would
just
think it'd
being
do a
locked out,
lot.
Yeah.
you like run and like collapsed in death, and it's like, yeah, you suck.
See, looking at it, I would think it's like the same amount of damage standing on a fire would do. Like it'd just be like
Mm,
it would like
I think
interrupt you,
because
but
it's
not
like a
mess with
gate,
you.
right? Like it's like a gate. So it like doesn't usually when I run into a gate, it does not kill me.
Yep.
I
yeah,
know
you
they're
just
not
can't
usually on
know.
fire, but whatever.
But overall, raid was good. Any caster wondering if they should use spell penetration on, especially warlocks on council,
Archimond, right?
should
Oh,
definitely do
council.
it. If especially if you're sticking on the paladin the entire time. One of our warlocks parsed a 99, and he didn't even have close to the cap that you're supposed to have supposedly. So
Yeah, Kim, our Shadow Priest also does it, and I don't know how he did this week, but last week when he first tried it, it was really, really good. I think, or the first week he tried it, he said it was really awesome.
so Crix has a video about how to get a bunch of gear pretty easy. I'll stick that in the show notes for you guys. All right, guys, let's move on to the news. So, oh, I should ask you guys this first. We don't
We
want
can
to talk
talk about
about it.
NFTs. I'll trash on NFTs for a second if you want.
Okay, so Blizzard Entertainment Mike Ybarra says no NFTs. I don't know like really how this pertains to Classic. I would feel like it'd be more of a retail thing where you're allowed to sell your tiger when you leave, or something like that to that. But give me what you think. I don't know a ton about NFTs either.
Well, I feel like NFTs are already dead. They were a fad that lasted literally months. Now everyone holding on to those stupid monkeys, those bored ape yachts are they're crashing in price. Like everyone has seen enough NFT scams that I can't imagine any video game developers are now going to be trying to ride this NFT wave. So I'm just glad. I mean, I'm glad they came out and said no, but I feel like we're already past it. Like, come on. This is a weird
Of
scam
course
gimmick
it's
that
no.
no one. And before you write me and tell me I don't understand NFTs, I do understand NFTs, and I don't
I
care.
don't.
See, and I just feel like it's a non-fundable Oh,
non-fungible.
fungible.
Fungible token.
Okay, so basically, it could like I could see it working for MMOs with things like the Spectral Tiger. If you could sell that to another player when you quit the game, like that would
Why
be
would they need an
something.
NFT to do that?
Well, I mean, that's an example of an NFT, like any like MMO on online good, right?
Well, no, it doesn't have to be an NFT. So an NFT has to live on the blockchain, but there's no reason why anything in game would require an NFT.
Oh,
You
okay, I
could
see what
just
you're saying.
you already have a tiger in game that you can sell. Anytime you sell something on the auction house or you're selling it to someone else, there's no reason you need that written in the blockchain that yes, you did buy that tiger. It's just like it really adds nothing. There's no usability that it provides other than being a gimmick.
Okay, then maybe I didn't understand NFT good enough then.
Yeah, so good Mike Ybarra, but I mean, who cares about NFTs? Like what? Like we're
That's why I
changing all
was
WoW
like,
gold. We're changing all WoW gold to be Bitcoin now. It's like what?
well, that's why that's why I wrote in the notes. I don't think we need to cover this,
Yeah,
but if you
yeah, I
want to,
know.
we can.
Yeah.
All right, but covering in the news the PTR for Sunwell Plateau and Sunwell shut down Monday the 18th. So it means it was only open for what? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 4 days.
Yeah, they've been keeping the PTRs relatively shut, I feel like.
Yeah, it's interesting. And like something we did point out last week that we probably should have is every single PTR has lasted 4 weeks. Now there was one that appeared to last 6 weeks, but it was not up at all for 2 of those weeks due to holiday. So it's something I think a lot of us we all looked at the dates and we
Yeah.
didn't think about that. It was Wow Curious channel was really good and pulled up the dates and then pointed out that they weren't actually up during the holiday weeks.
That's
So
interesting.
everything has had 4 weeks, but it's been pretty normal that they haven't been up the entire time. I'm just wondering, like they didn't say it'll come back up. Like, is this really it? Like, it's down? Like it's
It
done?
says we conclude the current Sunwell test.
Yeah, I think there'll be more tests.
Yeah.
I
This was
just
the
I think
current Sunwell test, right? Like maybe they'll have another Sunwell test. Maybe they just think it's perfect.
Oh,
But it
my
was
I just
Easter
Zix
weekend
TV
too.
points out in chat that this was Easter weekend too, that they had the
yeah.
PTR open. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
a 4-day PTR only over Easter weekend. It better be in perfect shape when it comes out,
Right?
or they need to keep testing it. I assume they'll keep testing it because it's probably it's probably a little broken, to be honest with you. I think that they
Yeah.
need the test to
I f-
continue.
I feel like the current testing lets us know that there'll be other testing. They've found a few things, they're working on it, and that like
Question
we'll
though,
see.
why, just in general, can you guys explain to me why having a PTR, like, why can't they find these bugs in internal testing? Like, what if,
Well, listen, there's
Only one person there, and we interviewed him, actually knows how to play Classic. So
Well, that's one problem is that it doesn't seem like a lot of them play Classic. Two, they could, but why do that when it's less resources to do it this way?
that's fair.
Because the only reason that a player test is beneficial is like for stress testing. I don't see any reason
Right.
why they would need players to find bugs other than they don't want to use their own resources to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
Which
you
is
could pay 10
fine.
people to do it for 4 weeks, or you could pay one person to monitor the bugs for a week
Yeah.
and get more
And
data.
yeah, and you do your stress testing at the same time or whatever they need to do. So it kind of
Yeah.
just it all works out that way. And yeah, for a small team, it makes sense. And I have a feeling for Classic, I think they probably want to get the random feedback that they're not thinking about. Because I
Yeah.
think that they just forget so much stuff with Classic. Like, they want someone to go on the PTR and be like, "Why is this many badges?" And they're like, "Ah, yes,
see,
good,
and
good idea.
Right.
Why
well,
is it?"
and that was one of the
That's not
biggest
how it was?
problems. I really feel they would have done themselves a solid. And maybe if they had known how popular Classic was going to be, way back at that meeting when they brought in the a like the creators of the private server Nostarius, I think lots of them would have been offered jobs had they known how big Classic was going to be. But in their minds, they still thought of it as a gimmick, and they thought they were going to get about as many people probably as the last season of Mastery got. So,
Yeah, it launched as a pet project. Like it really was not, even as Classic launched, it wasn't taken seriously. I feel like that's changed now, but um that takes some course correction
yeah,
to
and having
people.
people like that would have been instrumental. And I mean, they could still go out and hire possibly some of the people that are currently in the scene that like really understand the scene, and they could do themselves a solid by doing that. I don't know if they're going to now, but yeah, I think a lot of the people still have like a lot of the retail mentalities. It's really hard for them to actually predict what we're going to want or think. They just don't. They're getting better at it, but they're still not good at it.
Yeah, we might have some hot takes later. We'll see. We haven't actually talked that much about our takes, I feel like, on the Wrath announcement. So
Oh no, no, yeah, we're gonna get into that in
yeah.
discussion. So, but okay, so uh, another bit to talk about really quick on the whole Isle of Quell, Danas, and the raid is first off the PTR that was up is pre-nerf, and once again they came out and said that it is pre-nerf. They plan to do it the same way they did SSC and TK, where they'll have a time that it's pre-nerf and then a time that that it is nerfed. And one of the bosses, I think one of the examples they said goes from 10 million health to 6 million health. So that is going to be a thing. But something we don't know about is everything was open for testing on the PTR, but then the original TBC, anybody, if you've forgotten, basically it opens up over time, like a bunch of different stuff. The different vendors open up over time, and if I remember correctly, and I think a lot of people remember it this way too, it was amount of of dailies done per day, like, and then you had to get a certain amount, and then at server reset it would tally up, and if you hit your mark you would go to the next phase. This unlocked more dailies on the Isle, as well as different stages unlocked more bosses in Sunwell, because originally it was the first three bosses, and then see, I never did this part. I unlocked all of the
Yeah,
island, but I
I
wasn't
gotta be
doing the
honest.
stuff.
I did not know that this was like this at all. I might have like went to the island first time after it was all unlocked, to be honest.
Yeah,
Because like I had, yeah,
well, and see, I had no clue that the bosses opened up at different times because I wasn't doing any PvE. I was just like at the Isle because there was things that I wanted for PvP. And at that point, I'd kind of checked out a little bit on PvP too. I was just like ready for Wrath. And so, the Isle just ended up being so much fun and such a good way to accumulate money on my two characters. I was doing it constantly. And you're looking for the vendors that you heard about that were coming, like the ones that sell gems, the ones that sell the new pattern for your rogue cat trinket, and all kinds of different stuff open up over time. And so I don't remember for sure if it was on raid reset day that it opened up. It might have opened up just as soon as you hit it, but I'm pretty sure it was raid reset day. And they probably did that. I didn't know the reason at the time, but it was probably because of the bosses. If they're opening up bosses, they don't want them to become active randomly on a Thursday or something, right? So we think it's going to go like that again, but we don't know because everything was open on the PTR. We just wanted you to know about that.
Could that mean like these bosses will come out over like an entire month
It
then,
could.
and not that's actually that's kind of interesting. On it, if it happens like that, I feel like more. I've seen people think that Black Temple hasn't had enough time out. If they're slowly releasing Sunwell and you'd still be doing Black Temple and maybe not Highjaw during that time, that would be like an interesting transition period where you still do old tier and then the two bosses in Sunwell or something.
And I think it would be I almost feel like this is a really good way to transition. I like why did they stick with this, in different things? Because it seems really neat to be like, all right, we got the first three bosses now, instead of being like, oh, SSC and TK hit. What do we hit first? Oh my god, overwhelmed. Learn all these bosses. Instead, you're getting at least, a week or two to just do those bosses, get them down, like, and even if they're easier, although I don't think I think this is going to be some of the toughest things we have run
Yeah.
into, especially trash. Oh, also the buff. We talked a little bit about this buff last week as well, but people are really starting to notice it. The Sunwell radiance, and basically from what in 2008 it sounded like there was some posts about it, how they changed it. Basically, everybody believed that they overtuned the gear, the you know gear
They
for
did.
tanks. And so
It's
they put
really
this in as a
bears,
Band-Aid.
honestly. Bears are the most egregious offenders because they can easily be at 100% dodge next tier. So it's they subtracted 20% dodge, and then the bosses have an extra like what 5% hit or something like that on top
Yeah.
of that. So it's a really big swing in damage, which is really scary. But it's the real reason I switched to bear, which is why this tier might be kind of meh. Because I think that this tier is fine if you're a warrior. Sunwell though seems
Yeah.
like you would just get pounded into the ground.
Well, what's funny is Bear's the one this affects the least, which is kinda sad. And
Yeah,
they're
but
already the best main
if
tank.
you're in there with 100% dodge rate, you're feeling like, all right, this is this is some easy content here.
Yep, so we just thought we would let you guys know that, in the last bit of news, the Burning Crusade Classic Arena Season 3 ends on May 3rd. So that means as of listening to this, you have two more times, if you listen to this day of, you have two more times to get points. You have this coming Tuesday, the 26th, and then the last time you'll get points will be that May 3rd. And then you should have at least a week to buy the current season 3 gear for cheap. Just remember, spend all those points because as soon as Arena Season 4 does start, we don't have a date for that yet, but as soon as it does start, those points will be moved from Arena points to Honor points at a rate of 1 to 10. So definitely spend them. It's definitely worth it to make sure you fill in any piece you didn't get throughout this season.
And go do your honor dailies. You can be capped so easily if you do your honor dailies.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've got 65K on Bob, and I've only done the dailies for the most part. I've done the BG daily only when it's Altric Valley, and then I've just done the other two, and I'm sitting at 65K, all,
Yeah.
like 10K from capped. So it's
You'll
definitely
I just want to give them a round of applause because I really like what they did with PvP to make it feel less just awful and tedious going
hmm
into the next phase. They really did do a good job
Yeah, I
balancing
had
that out.
checked out of it. I was like, I'm gonna do something else, but this has been great. So
Yep.
all right, and so yeah, so that's coming to an end. I'm sorry for anybody that wanted more time. Do we know how long this season was?
It feels short, but I don't know exactly how long. 3.5 months, something like that.
I feel like the first one was really short, and then the second one was quite a bit longer, and then this one's like somewhere in between the length, but I'm not sure.
I don't have the days.
It sure would be nice though to have those seasons like how long it's gonna run, you know?
Yeah, yeah, like I don't know. If they go through this again, they should be giving out start and end dates ahead of time.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
not that it's not that crazy, you know? Most whatever, but I feel like patches having a date when they know what patch is coming out isn't that crazy, you know? They're not really in the middle of making it anymore. Right? They're just kind of souping it up for the patch day. It'd be nice to have an idea
Yeah,
ahead of time, but oh
definitely,
well.
definitely. All right. Well, let's move into discussion.
My God, it's finally happened.
Yeah, dude, we are here, guys, and
Mhm.
we got the announcement. Wrath of the Lich King is coming in 2022. It was kind of cheeky. I don't know if you guys noticed on the reveal trailer. They kind of like they made a new trailer that's got like some new pieces and then some old pieces kind of put in.
It's basically they just re-edited the old one to look like it's a new one. It's so I don't know how I
Was the
feel about.
sword in the old one?
No, 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 no. Not the like Apple. It's like an Apple like first time baby's first 3D model. Like they're just like showing it like it's the sleek new iMac, like boom, ooh, and then they just cut the actual
Well, they're
trailer
saying,
together again. I
"Did
was
you
like, come
think we
on,
had forgotten?
did you
Did you
think we
think we
had
had
more fun?
forgiven?" I
Yeah,
don't
that
know.
okay. That part was cool. I'm actually into it a little bit,
I
but
thought it was pretty cool, dude. I
I
was nerding out a little bit.
I want to hate, but I love Rattle the King, so it's pretty cool. It's good. I'm glad they kept in some of the like the very forest of Lordaeron whispered your name.
Mhm. Now
Oh, Thirsty, like, yeah.
now I get it though because we had just watched the 10.0 retail cinematic that like I was just like, dude, I don't play retail, but this was fucking pretty cool, dude. I just like, I mean, but I always love them. Like, we had just
Yeah, it
gotten
looks
that.
good.
If they would have done us that service of one just half that long, I would have been like, I love you. Like, I wouldn't have been able to bitch to them about anything, but they didn't do that. But they gave us something, so we have to take that, as it is. But yeah, if you saw at the very end, it says releasing 2023, and then the three quickly morphs into a two.
Yeah, they took their time on that one.
So yeah, 2022. I've been calling it for a while. I can't remember which one. If I can't remember what you guys called or not, but I've been calling like October, November
Yeah, I
for
think
a long
falls.
time.
I don't
2022
know.
still has 8 months, right? So I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
people are forgetting that. Like, I know we haven't had this current raid tier for a while, and we still have to have Sunwell. So 8 months, I think it'll be November, December.
yeah. There's no reason it couldn't be. There are a lot of months left, and then yeah, we Sunwell's not out yet. We're gonna have 3 to 4 months of Sunwell. We're gonna have a couple weeks of pre-patch, and then Wrath comes out. So fall to December, um, sometime in there makes sense. And I bet they just don't know yet. I bet they're not quite sure yet, and that's the best they can give us anyway. But yeah, I'm glad. Honestly, at first it felt like they were rushing through TBC, but honestly, TBC kind of feels like a holdover to Wrath for a lot of people at this point. I do feel, and maybe that's because I'm a raid logger and that I'm biased in saying that, but a lot of people talk about Wrath. They're looking forward to Wrath. I love all the quality of life changes that came in TBC. Like, I really enjoy TBC raiding and just playing the game over like vanilla. But at the end of the day, Wrath was when everything was the biggest, and it wouldn't surprise me if they were like, let's put something good through TBC and bring everyone back for Wrath.
Right.
That's the play now.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good timing. I think they waited too long to release TBC, right? I think we were all kind of like, okay, come on.
That's what I always thought that vanilla was too long. I thought
Yeah, it dragged
it
on.
really
Yeah.
was, and I feel like that wasn't their plan initially. Like, I don't think their plan was 6 months of BWL. Like, I just don't think that was in their plans. And I think Corona threw a lot of things through a loop, and I don't know, like, but I think it would have felt better if Classic was that length too, you know? And so I'm pretty happy about it. I know some people are upset about it, but I'm glad. And for me, TBC, even though I'm playing the shit out of it, is a stepping stone and a waiting period for me for Wrath.
Yeah, and a lot of people feel that way. And whether people are right or wrong in that, I do think we're going to see a surge of players coming back and a surge of players trying Classic for the first time come Wrath. Because
Yeah.
Wrath was a lot of people's Classic to begin with. A lot of people are going to want to play it at a more serious level. And I think it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun for people. I think getting into Vanilla is a little bit hard. Getting into TBC is less hard. And then Wrath is going to be the most like open arms expansion we'll probably get in Classic.
Yeah. Yeah. But not to say, I'm not trying to talk smack on TBC, but you know, just the aesthetics and everything. Like, I'm just not in to all the space stuff, all the,
The
rocks,
space kids.
like the rocks floating in the air and everything. And so, like, it's just not the, it doesn't look cool like Northrend looks cool, man. It looks wow. Like, it looks Azeroth, and that's what I'm excited for. And I just think, like, a lot of the PvE stuff gets better to play. Like, for individual rotations on DPS get way more fun across the board on so many classes, way more classes than not, and different specs too. Like, it becomes a lot more, like, the good and the bad people are going to stick out a lot more. Like, it's not just going to be the fastest people. It's going to start to be a mix of speed and just really knowing what you're doing with your rotation, which is going to be neat.
TBC feels a lot more like Classic Plus when it comes to like rotations. You have something like Ret Paladin where it's like, all right, we made a lot of these bad specs like Boomkin and Ret Paladin viable and decent, like more decent. A lot of specs are still extraordinarily simple and boring. It's like you could port over people's rotations and specs from TBC to vanilla, and it's like, oh, like every class is like a little bit more interesting, but it's very, very similar. Come Wrath is when they start really introducing redesigns. You know, like warriors are now jumping around and they'll have it more AoE abilities to tank, and you're just introducing a lot more interesting things to these classes that set them apart. And like you said, set players apart. And it's not just like, oh, the one thing, like you get Blade Storm and you're getting all these extra things that have been class defining for years don't come out till now.
Yep.
Whereas the TBC stuff is like a little extra on top of your boring vanilla rotations.
Yep. And TBC had a lot of beautiful things that I like over, you know, vanilla, like just resilience in general, just, like
So
slowing down PvP. Because, I mean, let's be honest, vanilla was all about globling people. Like, that was what it was all about. Yes, you still have some crazy fast kills in TBC compared to Wrath, but it's nothing compared to vanilla. Vanilla was just like, I'm literally going to charge in on my warrior and kill this clothy in literally one global, and that's just crazy talk, like. So there's stuff like that I thought was really cool that was brought in with TBC, and there's a bunch of them, but we don't need to get into that. So when it ended, I went to talk to a lot of different streamers about what they thought, right? And one thing that I pulled out that I kept asking everybody was, I was like, well, I feel like they slightly hinted at a possible longer pre-patch. Um, and everyone seemed to think that they said they'd have the same pre-patch. So everybody was saying 13-day, 2-week pre-patch. And then it was awesome because hours later, I don't know, maybe 6 hours later, 5 hours later, maybe it was only maybe it was only 3 hours later. I don't know, but Josh Corbett from Countdown to Classic did another interview with Brian Birmingham. It's a short half an hour one. I'll have the link to his YouTube video in the in the show notes, but you got to check it out because there Josh asked Brian, and Brian says, "We're not sure yet. What I can tell you is no less than 2 weeks, no more than 6 weeks on the pre-patch. So it's possible we do get a longer pre-patch, and that got me pretty excited."
They should put in a longer pre-patch in general. I don't want to skip ahead, but I'm gonna skip ahead, and it's that Death Knights are gonna be available in pre-patch. That is the thing. And honestly, I think that giving people a little more time than they had like with their shamans and paladins would be good. I know that coming from one, but just giving people time with their class isn't that big of a problem. Doing some dungeons and raids with your sick level 70 Death Knight with everybody else would be cool. And I don't think I think a 6 week one might be crazy, but a 3 week one, even a 4 week one, I think would be okay with people. And if you don't want to raid during pre-patch, it kind of gives you that cooldown period. We had that issue where we went from raiding Nax like straight into TBC, and it felt like we never got a break. But having like a nicely decent long pre-patch, you can take off from raiding, finally see your friends and family again,
What?
touch the
Well,
grass, see the sun.
well, and like we did take off those 2 weeks
Yep.
from raiding, and it was kind of a bummer for not everybody. But don't get me wrong, I wanted the break. It was a bummer for me that we didn't have like 4 weeks
One.
because I wanted at least one time to go in. Sorry, excuse me, to go into the old raid Nax and just see what the new talents could do. I was dying to see FJ pump as the new Destro talented warlock. I was dying to see that, and we didn't get to see it.
The problem with that too is people were leveling shaman and paladin from level 1. I wanted to see Nax with some shaman in it because we had never gotten to raid any vanilla with shaman, but it was super unrealistic to hit max level with the shaman in that time frame, and then also go do like some content and get a little bit of gear up and stuff. So I think like something like a 4 week would have given us a lot more time to do fun stuff like that. But with the 2 week, and we were PvPing a lot. Um,
Oh yeah, a
can't remember if
bunch.
it was just for gear, for like leveling, or why we were doing
We
that.
were
Oh, it's so we could
PvPing
save
to
honor. We could
save
save
up the
honor.
honor.
Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they shouldn't allow that to happen.
That was so much fun though. We were
But
just
yeah,
going around in our best gear, me and Yip running around just and
yeah,
Yip's got the might of I had a sword that was okay-ish. Like
yeah, had a good sword.
from it was the sword from
The
Gluth, but
big dog.
yeah, but it was nothing compared to Yip's might of Menethol. And Yip's going in there like smacking people, stunning them, and I'm double hitting them, and like oh, we had healers behind us. It was so
And
much fun.
there were a lot of boosted characters during
Oh,
that
there's so
time.
many boosted
Uh,
characters.
that was about as good as PvP can get. Like, WoW PvP, when it's really one-sided, is fun. I'm sorry,
For one
like,
side, yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, it's fun when
Especially
you're win
when especially when you've been so unbalanced in the
yeah,
past, right? So, like, you're just, like, taking revenge and you feel good about
Well,
it,
here,
and you don't care that these people didn't have anything to do with that.
let me caveat that at least for me. It's fun when we're overpowered gear-wise, but it's still same numbers. Like, I would still feel
oh yeah.
pretty shitty if there was 30 of us killing 4, 4 horde. Like, I would just be like,
It
"Guys,
depends.
leave them alone."
It
Yeah, what's
depends.
fun is, like, you and a pocket healer killing 7 horde. You're
I
like,
know, that's when
"Yes,
it's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm
God."
on fire," like
Uh,
it like kind of reminded me of my Wrath tweak days where I was a level 29 tweak paladin with everything and I could just like 1v5 or even 6 people at a time in Arathi Basin. And it's just like you're killing everybody.
have you seen those crazy videos people will do? They'll stack, like, insane enchants and stats on a level 1 character,
Oh, I
and
have.
they can just, like, murder a level 20 and stuff. It's
Oh, dude,
absolutely
what's that
insane.
guy's name? I'll have to look it up. He does a level 1 rogue, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, we gotta find it, but those sort of videos are definitely they're so funny, because when you look like the Underdog and you're just whacking people. I wish they had it in the game. I don't know when this comes out, maybe it's Kata, maybe it's later. Eventually, you can talk to a NPC in the PvP area and turn off your XP
Wrath.
so that you never. Is it in Wrath
It
already?
no,
Did he
it
do it?
didn't come at starter Wrath. It
Oh, it came
came
eventually.
it came in Wrath when EXP came in BGs because
Oh,
I had a twink and a bunch of like the twink scene was huge. I don't know if the twink scene has really ever blown up in Classic, but it was huge all through at least TBC and Wrath because that's when I played a lot of it, and we lost our shit when they told us you're going to get
start leveling
EXP
up.
in BGs, and I'm like, so you're telling me my days are numbered? I'm gonna only have a certain amount of games left before my pally levels, and everybody freaked out. So they immediately, I mean, almost immediately, were like, oh, we heard your calls. We're going to make it so you can turn off XP. But I believe you can only turn off XP in BGs. I don't know if you
Yeah.
can turn off all XP. I'm not positive on
They-
that part.
My only point is that they should allow you to turn off all XP because I think that the idea of a level 1 smashing things is awesome, but once you start realizing that if you like explore a little more of the map, you're gonna level up and ruin it. It's like, oh come on,
Dude, yeah. Like,
I
and
wanna
it's
stay level
easy
1.
The
to
level 2
it's
is not as exciting as a level 1 destroying things.
yeah,
Well,
and I
think
mean you can level up to level 2 pretty easily discovering the map.
Yeah. I think that there might be some stat reasons why too. Like some stats are like exponentially better the lower level you are or something. So like a level 1 is just better at it than a level 2 or something like
Mhm.
that. So it is just like you gotta be level 1.
I'll have to see if I can find the guy I'm thinking of's channel and post it in the show notes because it is a pretty funny thing. And like when he's killing like level 60s, you're like, what just happened?
It's pretty cool.
Wait, at level 1 he's killing 60s?
Yeah, because they don't realize, and then all of a sudden they're just dead.
Yeah, he can like they're like stacking a lot of damage from like enchants and stuff. So like you might miss a couple, but if you hit, it's just like insane damage on
Oh my
them.
god.
And specifically the rogue was like he used it because if eviscerate doesn't account for something. It accounts for stats, but I don't. I'll just see if I can find him, put it in the chat, and you can see what he says because it's brilliant. But yeah, so yeah, you had talked about Death Knight. So let's hit that before number 3 on our list here. So Death Knights are coming, and they're coming in a weird way. I think, at least, like. Brand new account, can open up, no characters on it at all. You can start a DK at 55 come pre-patch.
Yeah, pretty bizarre. But
They're basically giving the bots a $40 discount on starting their bot.
yeah, they are doing that. I don't have any explanation. They want people coming back who remember playing DK to be able to play DK right away. And I think that if they set it behind a character when they're already selling boosts anyway, it's kind of
Yeah.
redundant. Like we would be complaining about that anyway. Like, oh, so now for my friend to play DK, he has to spend money to boost to 70. Like, come on, it's like a lose-lose situation. I'm glad that they're coming in pre-patch. Anything else is kind of like, I don't know. It is silly
Yeah.
that you can do it no matter what, but everything is silly when we're talking about class.
I mean, don't you think so this would have been way more difficult, right? Because they don't have like a starting zone for DK at level 1, right? But ideally what would have happened is if you didn't have a level 60 character or whatever, that you start at level 1 on DK,
That'd
right?
be funny. Yeah, that'd be funny. Get the level from 1. That'd be
Interesting.
cool.
But the
You
starting
just, like,
area is
act
so
as a
good.
warrior.
Maybe like once
Yeah.
you hit 55, you're allowed to just warp to the starting area and start that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen.
Well, the
But-
Yeah,
whole
that's a funny solution, yeah.
Yeah, so the whole class fantasy deal with it is the reason you were supposed to have a level 55 before is because basically that's why any race can be DK, because supposedly you were another class prior, and you were taken by the Lich King and then broke from his grips, and now you are a Death Knight. So you were already a different class. So maybe even just saying you have to work up something, but they didn't want to take that character from you to become a DK. So they just let you like become a DK, but the whole point was you were this person who was a different class prior and then enslaved by the Lich King and then broke free and now you're a DK. So that was always really kind of like what you were. If I believe that's correct. I don't usually do the lore, but that one I
sounds good to
actually
me. I liked it. Even if it's wrong, the attempt was awesome, so I'm down for believing it entirely. Sounds right lore-wise. You are definitely like something else that got risen as a Death Knight for sure. Um, yeah, I like the Death Knight starting zone. I like Death Knights. I hate Death Knights, but like playing them, they're pretty cool. Their whole starting
I don't think
zone.
I've ever played a Death Knight.
I don't
Well, I
think
think
yeah,
you'll
I don't
like
think
it.
you did.
You should give it a shot.
Yeah, I only
So
played through the starting
Can they be a
zone.
healer?
They
no, but you
can
can heal yourself a
self-heal.
lot.
Yeah. There might be
Are
Are they
something where you like
melee
heal
or
someone
are
else or something.
they
Melee.
melee?
Yeah, they're
Some
melee.
yeah, some
That's too
like
much for
short
me. I really
range.
can't do melee. It's really tough. Like I'm
I
just
I
feel
like
like
love
all up
melee.
in the business and I just can't. I
you
lose
say
track of
that,
where I am.
and then if you play one, you'll think like, how did I ever play a range character that's just like standing out in the open, casting a spell that has pushback? Like, it feels good to be both on both sides of the coin because melee, you just get to run wherever you want. You're always just like like being up in the combat's nice because you're expected to be there. You're never in trouble
Mm,
for being there because you
that's
Yep.
have to
fair,
be.
right?
It's good.
Like how
Yep.
many times does one of our range die and you're like, what are you doing
Well,
up
Yeah, it's like
there right
always your
next to
fault.
the boss?
just
Like, what
remember
is happening?
just remember when we first started, we're leveling with Corpse, and I'm in there casting, and I'm just always right up next to the mobs that I'm casting on. And then one time I was like right in front of Corpse. I was like, "Oh, dude, sorry, they're probably parry hasting you." And he's like, "Are you hitting him? Melee?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I would have to be melee him for them to parry." But it's
The
just
back
like
and forth is so
so
bizarre.
yeah, so melee thoughts. Like I had no comprehension of ranged. Like it was
Well,
so
it's
funny.
funny because I like, you know how you can zoom out your camera, right?
Yeah.
Bob always had his like so far zoomed out. And I was
So far
like, I
zoomed out, you can't even see people's names. Like you have to click on them to
yeah,
see
like
their
I was like,
name
I
and
don't
their
know
guild
if you
name.
needed that far zoomed out, but I guess if I was playing melee, I would really want it that far zoomed out, right? Like playing a healer, like I'm always ranged usually. So having it that far zoomed out and being as far away as I need to be from the boss, it's like I can barely see who's over there dying.
Yeah, as a tank, if you're not zoomed super far out, it's just like I can't tell what's going on in this fight. I don't know where
Yeah.
people are. I don't know what anything is.
That's how I
It can be
feel like
crazy.
as melee. And maybe it's because the last time I tried melee was like probably an original and I probably didn't know how to zoom out my camera. So I was just probably looking at this like randomness all the time. And I was like, I don't even know what's happening. I don't know if I'm hitting him. I don't even know if I'm targeted on him sometimes. Like, I don't know what's happening.
I will say the targeting in melee was hard for me to get used to on my warrior. When I wasn't really a big melee person either, other than tanking. So in vanilla, when I was playing my fury warrior, I was like, I'm always like accidentally targeting the wrong thing. I'm always like I'll tab target to the thing that's like 3 feet in front of me, and I'm out of range. Like it took some getting used to being
Yeah.
like, I'm in
Yeah.
melee. I have to hit the ones right here that I'm looking at.
Well, and then getting used to like if you tab past your target instead of tapping. Whoa, sorry about that. I just
Okay,
I
I was
just
like,
thought
is that
That
my
was my
me?
headphones. I was
I
like,
know.
oh
I
my
is
was
that
like,
gosh.
good?
So I just like held my mic mute toggle button down like it was
Okay.
push to talk.
Push to
So it was
talk.
going in and out.
I love how Yip and I were both just like, okay.
You were
is
looking
that
at me and I was like, I
right?
haven't even done a hot take
I was
yet, but you're looking at me like crazy.
What's happening?
So if you like getting used to like when you tab one tab past, because I'm tabbing really fast, like you have to get used to like alt tabbing so you go right back to the one you just left. And
Wait, that's a thing?
not alt tab, control tab. or shift tab. I don't even know now. I just do it automatically. I think
like
it's
muscle
shift
memory.
tab. Yeah, it's shift tab. It takes you back to the one you just tabbed off of, but lots of people just tab through again. But on a bunch of mobs, like that's a pain in the ass to do, like. So then you're trying to click, and clicking on the raid frames
Listen,
is not the easiest thing.
the amount of times that tab fails
So
and
much.
like puts me on some target way over there that's just in range that we have not aggroed. Like, you're lucky I'm a healer. Let's
It
just
happens.
put it that way.
Oh,
It's
that
true. Every
happens.
now and again, you're suddenly wanding something off to the. Where's my wand going? Oh no!
Who did
Yeah,
that
like when I was
recently?
playing hardcore,
Someone
when I
did.
was hardcore and like wanding constantly on my priest, yeah, I can't tell you how
Dude,
many times I was like, shoot,
someone
shoot,
did that
shoot, and I was like, well,
recently.
how's that going?
We just saw something shoot way away, and we're like, "Did you just did
I think it was
you just
Harry.
shoot the other mob?" And they're like, "Yeah, sorry."
I don't know why you're saying that. I also feel like it was Harry, though.
I think it was Harry.
It was Harry.
It feels like a Harry thing to do.
Well, that was a second shout out. Harry did so good as so good as Destro. Absolutely killed
He
it.
did kill it. He did kill it. But yeah,
I don't think
so
we said it on the podcast. I think we talked about it in the pre-show, but
oh
yeah,
no, we
good
talked
job,
about it.
Harry.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the podcast.
I don't think so.
I think you asked in the pre-show too, but then we said it again during the
Uh,
podcast.
you did-
Maybe I told
well,
you out.
we don't
I
want
heard
him.
you
We
talk
don't
about
want him to get
Harry,
too big.
so
We don't want him to have too big of a head, so that's okay.
But yeah,
He's the Warlocks.
they're coming in pre-patch, so we don't know how long it's going to be, but you're going to get to play them, so enjoy that. One little snippet that nobody's talking about, and this just upsets me because all the content creators, everybody just shits on our arena, doesn't talk about it, but they said that they're even Wowhead doesn't even have it as one of their bullet points of things that are coming. No more our arena teams in Wrath. They're gone.
Goodbye.
This was a
Probably
change.
because a lot of PvPers come from retail, and retail doesn't have arena teams, right? I think that is maybe why people aren't going crazy over it, but it is a big change.
Yeah, it's a
So here's
really
the
big
question. If
change.
there's no more arena teams, you have your individual rating, right? Like, do you have to be in a specific range of somebody to group with them, or does
Nope.
it just
You
give
group it gives
you
you the average.
Yeah, it'll
From
like
what I
average out your
understand, from what I understand. I don't know if it's the exact average, but it gives you the average.
I mean, so if you're like a 2K rated player and you group with somebody who is at like 800, you're gonna
Then if you
destroy somebody.
well,
You're
you
gonna
better
destroy a
because
pair.
if you lose, then your 2K is gonna drop fast. Because if you're 2K and you lose to a 1500 team, you're gonna
Yeah.
drop like 100 points.
You better
Again,
really trust this 800 arena rated player here.
Yeah, I don't know.
caveat, we don't do retail, so we could be a little bit wrong on the specifics, but
Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, we're assuming that like the 800 player would lose almost nothing because they were going up against you would think 1500 team, quick math, and the 2K player would lose a bunch doing that. So you're gonna try to link up. Like I remember your brother has it in his bio, what he is, like it is like note that everybody can see when they click on him. Like
is BattleNet Node or something?
I think it's in his WoW note because I always used to see it whenever I would click on him.
Yeah.
But it could be BNet too. I'm not sure, but it said his rating and what he was willing to do in 2s or 3s, and so I'm assuming people are going to try and group up with people similar rating. You know what I mean? But
Well, it's just you don't have to do the stupid thing. Like there's this weird dumb thing that's like have looking for X person for 5s, have 1500s experience or whatever. It'll just be like be this MMR. Like you can play with us if you're at this rating. There's
Right.
no weird
And there's
like
no-
you left your team and you have to
Yeah,
look at the history.
find someone to make the owner of your team so you go out and then join another team. You start at 1,000, you have to work back up. It's horrible right
I mean,
now.
I think it's a good change.
I think
Yeah.
it's a good change too. It actually came after the removal of fives in our arena. It came in, um, was it mop? I think I heard it was mop that it came in, or maybe I don't know. But it didn't come until after they removed fives, and everybody thought I was crazy when we were our arena in the other night. I was like, dude, I think it's coming for Wrath, and quite possibly this was the night before the announcement too. I was like, I'm almost positive teams go away in Wrath, and maybe even as soon as season 4. But season 4 is probably pushing it,
Yeah,
and
I
then
mean,
yeah,
it's
it
just
happened.
smart. Like, I mean, I know people are whatever nostalgic or like the old systems, but when old systems are like, I don't want to say objectively worse, but I feel like objectively worse, you may as well just improve it. Like, I don't think like if people have a problem with them improving the PvP system, rating system, it's kind of just like you wanted to cheese the rating system then. Like there's no
Well,
other.
and like a big thing is a lot of the retail players have said, "Oh, here comes boosting," but boosting was already there, and maybe it will be a little bit easier to boost people now. That might be a thing, but honestly, they're both flawed systems, and for just the regular people like us that want a PvP at just a moderate level and aren't crazy. Like, I mean, I run into boosters all the time, and they beat us, and you could tell immediately that was a booster. Like, and it doesn't dissuade me from playing. Like, I still have a good time, and just gotta let that roll over your shoulder, or else you're not gonna enjoy it at all. So I just feel like this is a better system for people that like to play with a bunch of different people and don't want to turn it into like a job of which we're going to always meet and do this and we're going to play 300 games every, two nights a week and stuff. And so I think this is great for people that want to casually do arena like me.
I mean, we team hopped all the time, like just like
I
any
still
given day.
am
It's like
now.
who's on? Yeah, like who's online right now? Let's play with the people who are online right now. And it's just so annoying with teams. It's like unbelievably annoying. You have to have the person online who's the team captain. You got to go pay money to make another one. It's just come on.
Yeah, and
You,
if you make another one, it's even worse than it was back in the day because if you make another one now, you got to do those placement games to work up past 1K before you're even like moving and grooving. Like at least you started at 1500 before.
yeah, you were starting at that even number
Yep.
instead of climbing from just pitiful me.
Oh, you know what we didn't tell people in news? We didn't tell people about the possible change to bracers and boots for
Oh
honor.
yeah.
Well, just real quick, everybody, the bracers and boots that cost honor right now, at least on the PTR, have a arena requirement. I think one's 1550 and one's 1625. Don't quote me on that. It could be like 1650 and 1750 or something, but
I
that
think
is
the lowest
there.
is 50. So that's interesting. There's a couple things that are interesting with the Sunwell rollout. Like if certain vendors are locked, then like the gear that you were thinking you were gonna have day one in Sunwell might actually be like a month into Sunwell. You have all the gear and things that you thought you were gonna have. So it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot. We'll keep you up to date with everything we do. We know. I'm sorry I didn't mention that up top, but maybe I'll try and edit it in. I don't know. We'll see. All right. So that's about it for for the arena teams. Unless anybody else has anything else they want to say, I think it's a good change. We're gonna have to just see, but at least starting at 0 won't feel as bad this time because you're never going back to 0 ever again.
Yeah.
So, phew. All right. Level 70 boosts in Wrath, not 68. And they didn't specify one per account, just level 70 boosts in Wrath. The only stipulation that they said is no Death Knight.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, that survey they sent wasn't that long ago, so I wonder if they don't know how they're implementing it yet. They're just saying that we are going to have a level 70 boost somehow. Maybe it's at the $20 price mark, maybe it's at the $50 price mark. Steve's saying that she saw one per account somewhere.
Oh, in
So that
chat? Yeah, yeah, okay. Well, I mean,
uh,
you would think they'd keep that, but at the same time, I don't know. I always thought they would open up more boosts, or at least let you boost Blood Elf and Draenei at some point during TBC, and that never seemed to happen.
oh no, I found a blue post that says one per account.
Oh,
Mm.
okay, cool, cool. All right,
Yep.
so it is okay, it is. Thank you, Stoof. So yeah, one per account, 70 boost.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
68 boost,
We
70
knew it
boost.
was coming.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't think this is. Yeah, I don't think
We're
this is
not gonna
crazy at
fight it
all.
all over again. Like it came, we all used it.
Well, we're
So
gonna. I'm gonna fight it in a second when we talk about what else is happening. But yes, I'm okay with a level 70 boost.
I mean, same. I mean, I think everybody tries to point out that it makes the world less populated, but I'm sorry, dude. Tons of people worked up the or bought their boost, and they've worked up two or three other characters since. And you know where they didn't work them up? Azeroth. They worked them up in dungeons, paying boosters. We see it constantly every day. Hardly any people quest in the old world, and that's just the way it is. And I don't think not selling this is going to actually make that better. It's just going to make more boosts.
Forget the old world. Welcome to Wrath.
It's basically what everybody did back in the day too. Like it was never. It's only private servers that start new that like have a bustling world back in Azeroth. That's the only time it happens. So sorry, guys, it's coming. All right, man. This is the big one.
The
So
contentious one.
so when this popped on, I had to ask. I was in chat with I was gonna stream it, but I woke up like 5 minutes before it happened, and like I was not ready to turn on stream and talk to chat. So I just jumped into Discord with Skeet and Herb, and we sat there and watched it. I had to ask him repeat it to me because I was like, wait. Did they just say that there's no looking for Dungeon Finder in Wrath? And they're like, yeah, they said, and I let out the biggest boisterous laugh, not because I was really happy, because I was kind of indifferent at this point, to be honest, but just because I knew so many people were going to lose their shit, and they did. Like the internet went crazy with the people that were for it and the people that were against it. But yeah, that's the news, and I'll let you guys go. No Dungeon
Find
Finder in
me.
Wrath.
Find me one person who is actively playing this game, who's doing dungeons without their guild holding their hand, who doesn't want Dungeon Finder. Obviously, Dungeon Finder needs to be in the game. The servers are dead, so 90% of the servers you can't even do dungeons on. Mega servers, there's no, oh, we want to have a community. We all just use Bulletin, and the thing is going crazy at all times. There's no community on a mega server, and there's no community on a dead server. The fact that anybody wants to keep or wants to keep it like it's the vanilla experience. We don't want looking for dungeon. We're done with that. The no changes stuff. What are you doing, Blizzard? These people don't play the game. I'm throwing out a challenge. If you are someone who literally every day is doing heroics and you're looking using Bulletin and LFG and you don't want this, I just don't believe it exists because the game is objectively worse when you're trying to find these groups in mega servers and on dead servers. It's crazy.
So
Well, and I think the thing that was so here's the thing is that I think the biggest complaint about Dungeon Finder is that it ports you to the dungeon, right? So you lose the world, right? So just take that aspect out. I'd be fine with that. Like, I don't care if it's in or not. Like, I'm not on a hard one side or the other, obviously, because I don't do dungeons enough. So I really have no opinion. But I I think anybody who is against it, I think it's a vocal minority thing, right? Like the people that are complaining are not representative of the
I think
people that are
both.
playing the game.
I think both are vocal minorities, but go ahead.
Agreed.
That's nuts.
I'll get
You don't
into
think
it.
Elder Dungeon is one of the most contentious things in the game?
I'll get into it after Mel gets done.
No, I mean, that was all. I mean, I think you do if you allow it to transport you to the dungeon, I think it is convenient, but I do think it shrinks the world. And I'm not sure I love that aspect of it. Again, I'm not one that's playing a dungeon every day or every week or ever, really. So I don't have much of a say in what I would like to see in this because it doesn't impact me as much.
All right, so when Classic first launched, vanilla, if you would ask me this question, I would have said, fuck no. No looking for a dungeon, period, ever. Done, right? And I'm still of the case, like, I had been basically kind of talked into it as, like, well, Scotty J's, I loved his idea and of it looking for a group on your server first, and then if it doesn't find it within a short time, I'm not saying a long time, don't make the people on small servers wait a long time. If you're on a big server, they're going to find it quick anyhow. It's not going to matter. But if you're on a small server, then it looks for others, right? And I thought that was a great like in between thing because what I always thought was the problem with LFD was that you're not going to see anybody in another guild there that You're not going to see anybody that you might be able to interact with later, yada, yada, yada. So I thought that was a good, fix for it. So when they actually mentioned it in my head, like I did that laugh, but then as soon as I was done laughing about how people were going to freak out on the internet, I was like, oh, well, I kind of at this point kind of wanted it because like it's just the ease of it, blah blah blah. Like, but I wanted it in a way like that it would make your group for you, but then you would head to the dungeon or still have to have summons or still have to have some sort of movement in the world, which I think it'd be fine. Like the biggest thing is it just puts you together in a group, right? But so here, let me finish. Let me finish. So so basically when it happened, I was kind of like, oh, well, that kind of sucks. And so, but like at the same time, I thought, I don't really care. And the reason is I went and talked for a long time in Def Camp stream. And, Josh Corbett was in there chatting too. And he made good points about like how, basically it's because we're in active guilds and like we have a lot of opportunities to run dungeons that other people do not have. Therefore, it kind of skews our, want and need for a tool of this nature. And so that's definitely a good point that Yip makes with like, tell me someone who's not in an active guild that that doesn't want this. Now, the the thing that I would have going against that is like everybody talks about, well, if you play this game as a single player game, and I think to myself, it's not a single player game, guys. It's a MMO, and like it's part of the process that kind of makes it good. And I don't know that this would actually kill it, but this was one of the beginning things that put it on a road to kill it. And people talk about how toxic LFD is. Like, if you get a group going and you get in there and some dude's an idiot, you're going to try to help him a little bit before you actually kick him and have to find another person and re-summon him there. Whereas with LFD, you're going to be like, boom, kicked. Like, if anybody it just says for a second they don't know how to do something, it's what happened to Ale when he went back for Shadowlands. He literally just said, hey, guys, I'm new back to Shadowlands. I haven't played retail in a while. If there's anything I need to know, just let me know as we go through. He was the tank. They insta-kicked him. Like, it's just like, wow. It just, that type of toxicity has a chance to breed much easier. And I know people are toxic now, but it has a chance to breed much easier with the LFD system. And that's the part that I do get. But at the same time, it's not a one-to-one. It's not a this is good or this is bad. It's a very complicated question and issue, and I still don't know where I really fall on either side. I will say I'm kind of bummed it's not there, but I'm gonna be one of the people that knows what I'm doing and not gonna get kicked out of groups, and probably gonna be 3 queuing and being able to kick anybody out of a group immediately if we want to. So I get it that it's, I just don't know where I'm at. I'm on both sides and I see points on both sides, and it's a
Well,
complicated thing.
all of your points were objectively wrong. I'm sorry. You want to fly on your mount where you can't even see the ground to the dungeon instead of being teleported there. You want to be summoned there instead of being teleported there. Give me a break about this
I
world.
see
We
the
want to feel the
ground.
world is big.
I see the
Come on.
ground. I didn't
It's
and
such
I didn't say
BS.
I wanted to see the world was big.
You hit auto run and you walk away and you come back. There's no one who's like, the world needs to feel big and
That
expansive.
was what
We need to
Mel
get
said
there.
something
You
about that.
said it
I
too.
said
You
nothing
said
about
it
the world.
too.
I said nothing about the world. I said I
Rewind
don't
it.
want.
He definitely said going to dungeons is a thing that people want to keep.
Yeah,
You
and
said
I talked
LFT
about
without the
someone
teleport,
figuring out
dude.
who's going to summon. I said nothing about me traveling to the dungeon. I said you're
This
gonna have to
is
figure out
ridiculous.
who's going to summon. It's
But
not
you said it as a
ridiculous
I
though.
didn't even say
positive.
I
You
agreed
said it
with
as
it.
a
I just said that's what I've
positive.
heard,
I
I'm
do
right?
just
think
saying
it's a
that
positive.
everything you said, how is it a positive?
Because
That
you're
you have to
actually
figure out who
doing
needs to
work to get
summon?
there,
What a joke,
and
dude.
you're
Come
less
on.
likely to
You need
kick
to auto
somebody.
run. You need to auto fly
I
over
think
there,
you're
and it's
actually
less
doing
work,
yourself a
dude.
big disservice by not actually listening to
I'm
the
hearing
argument.
your argument doesn't make sense when you auto fly to the dungeon, dude.
It made
You want it
complete
to be more
sense.
work to play the game? You want this game to be more work?
Okay, we'll go back to what I said. Usually now, if you have someone who doesn't know what they're doing and they say, I
That's
don't
not
know
true at
what they're
all.
doing,
Every pug
people
I've been in has been toxic as hell.
people
We've
are
killed people left and
usually
right. It's
willing.
full of Chinese people who can't speak English.
All
I
right,
don't think you're right at all,
that's
dude.
not
I
the.
don't think you're
You're
right.
raid logging right now. When was the
Bro,
last time you ran one with a pug?
oh my god,
When
2
was the
weeks
last?
ago, I wasn't raid logging. When was the last time you
Yep,
ran onto the pug, dude?
you're getting very toxic, dude.
Okay,
Like
I'm
here's the
just
thing.
saying
you
that
Here's the
seriously
thing.
need to
Is
calm
that
LFT
down.
should be there,
No,
dude.
hold on, but I'm gonna go back and reprove my point and state it one
All
more
right,
time.
state your point one more time.
So when someone doesn't know what they're doing, you're much more likely to help them rather
In
than
theory.
go. Well, this is
Have you
what I
seen this
do.
happen?
Yes,
Have you
it's what I do. It's what I did in hardcore. It's what I did in TBC. Whatever pugging, like you're
I don't
more
think you pug
likely.
that much.
Okay, I do pug. Like I'm sorry, we'll get like oftentimes at least 3 people in the guild to go to lots of dungeons, but you're pugging the other 2. We just recently pugged Kara. Me and Skeet. We pugged ZG or ZA. And
Those are
so
raids. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about heroic dungeons.
but the reason we haven't done heroic dungeons is there's not a really point to do it at the moment. But we were about to pug the daily the other day because it was double daily. But so, like I was saying, if there's somebody in there who doesn't know what they're doing, you're more likely to help them because you don't want to go back to the looking for group channel and spam more for another person and then go out to the stone, summon him over. Whereas if it was LFD, you kick him immediately, you wait a couple minutes and another person pops in. There's no reason to even try to help him. Toxicity breeds
that is
there.
just
And
not.
I don't
That's
think
just
you can
not
argue
true.
that. It happened.
I think you're talking about a theory in your head, not reality.
It's not a
You're
theory. It's a
talking
theory
about
that a
what
lot
you
of people
think is
have.
what happens. I don't care what people's theories are or what they think is going to happen. Pugs right now are extremely toxic. The fact that you have to sit in there and be yelled at instead of being kicked is way more toxic than just being kicked. Instead, you're cursed out until you leave, dude. There's no chance
See,
that
I think you're
LFD
see,
is
I think you're
more
completely
toxic,
wrong on
dude.
that. And you're a tank in our guild. Like you haven't pugged in a long time, dude.
I had to pug all of my gear, dude. I pugged all of my fire res gear on my druid. My main right now, I had to gear up entirely through pugs.
I don't know why
I
you
know
keep
for
yelling.
a fact, dude. Because you're just like I had
You're
to sit through your
absurd
whole
right
point.
now. You're
I had to
absurd
sit
right
through
No,
now.
your
I mean,
whole point, dude. I had to sit through all your points. You told me I couldn't interrupt, and now you don't want to hear the
I just
truth,
don't want you to
dude.
yell. I think it's I think it's uncalled for.
okay,
I think
here's
I
the
do
thing.
think it is. It really is.
Here's the thing. So, how upset were we when we got the ability to like transport to Hyjal?
Oh, we liked that because doing work to get to dungeons and playing the game is not fun, and no one thinks it's fun.
So that's me agreeing with Yip, right? Is that I do think that. I think
It
the
was cool we
argument
didn't get it at the
is,
beginning though, right?
No.
I mean, I don't know if it was cool that we didn't get it in the
Dude, we
beginning,
had to
but I
summon to
think
a
it
glitch spot.
was,
Well, that was because of
well,
our
yeah, on
server
White
problem
Mane,
though.
Oh,
right?
it's just a sin. Mega servers aren't the only servers that exist.
Right. And I think, oh, can you guys still hear?
We could hear you. Oh,
Oh,
Like,
never
totally
mind.
froze. Oh, I'm
Never
back.
mind.
oh,
Oh,
you're
hi.
back.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Woo.
Okay. I was like, what's happening? Um, I think you both have valid points, right? Like, yes. So here's the thing is that we all wanted the original vanilla experience when we went back to classic, right? We very quickly realized that was not an option. Like, we are different gamers, we're different points in our life right now. Like, there is so much different about who we are now and how advanced in gaming we are now than we were 12 years ago or whatever it is, right? The argument, I think, is that if we continue to get these things, why don't we like retail? Because retail has brought in all of these things. So what's the difference?
I don't not like retail because I get to do dungeons faster with my friends. One of the best parts of Wrath of the Lich King is I haven't even gotten to my main point about this. The best part is you talked about questing being dead. Who cares about questing? Now low level dungeons are going to be dead. During Wrath, one of the highlights of Wrath was refer a friend leveling through Dungeon Finder. Now, why do low level dungeons? Just get a boost to 70. Like they're killing content for no reason, giving you a 70 boost and then telling you vanilla players actually like it the way it used to be. So here's a 70 boost. Like,
I mean,
it just doesn't make any sense,
you
dude.
would be surprised. I mean, Def Camp, Melderon, they don't like LFD. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't
Yeah,
like
but they're
LFD.
private. They're private server. Like, no offense, but they're private server snobs, dude. They're not normal people playing this game.
Well,
There are people who are like, there are people
all
who
the
don't want
Wrath.
leveling to be faster so that it's like a pure experience. It's not
But
an average player.
see, Scotty J makes the opposite point: is that like if you the only people that don't want LFD are people that used to play and don't play private servers because every private server has LFD. So like I don't know that I don't know that that's actually what separates the different people's up opinions on it.
We're talking about those two in particular. I can't talk about
But
the opinions on a whole.
let me hit on what you said about lower level dungeons, because when we were having this big like 2-hour conversation with Def Camp in his chat, someone mentioned like, hey, how about my hardest time finding a group for dungeons is anything low level. It's all boosts. Like everything's a boost, period. What if we just had LFD for just just through burning Crusade dungeons? And that sounded like a pretty neat idea too to me, because that is something that's true. Like I remember Melissa's brother. Now I didn't do this ever because I liked questing, but like Melissa's brother worked up his second character like halfway through Wrath when because LFD came out during Trial of the Crusader, Trial of the Champion, basically halfway through Wrath, the raid right after Ulduar. So, like, I remember him working up an alt, and he did it only in the looking for a group, like, dungeon finder. That would be impossible in today's, like, culture, and I think if that was there, I think it's very possible people would just do that instead of boosting. I think it's a very possible thing that they would possibly it would bring up the amount of people willing to do that. So, I thought that was kind of a neat idea.
Yeah, I mean, it actually makes people play the content. And yeah, like it's like you don't have to walk there, but people will be in dungeons playing together as opposed to either boosting or just paying for a boost. Which like it actually makes me furious that they would hearken. They would even like why would they even bring up the fact about what the classic community wants while handing a boost over? It's so hypocritical. It's so unbelievable to be like, you guys don't want LFD, but also here's a 70 boost. It's like it's like
It is,
what do you
yeah,
they're just
I'll
doing
give you
whatever
that.
you want. They're just doing whatever they want. There's
Well,
no
and
consistency in the theory at all here.
well, and you got really mad at me about the whole, like, going to the dungeon part, but that was
No, I'm
just a
mad at
little
everyone who brings
thing.
that up.
Well, that was just a little thing that I thought could possibly make it less toxic in LFD, like, less chance to kick somebody, less chance to you know what I mean?
I
Like
don't see what's wrong with kicking people. You're saying kicking people is toxic? In my experience, you kick toxic people. That has been my experience in LFD. It's that tank who you can only find one tank on your server who is a total ass. You just kick them and you find one cross server. That
see.
to me is way more valuable than like being stuck with someone you need to teach who doesn't speak English.
Well, and I'm a different person now, a little bit nicer, but I am guilty, big time guilty. Mel is too, although she just did what me and Nick asked. But me, Nick, and Mel, when this first came out, we were rating at the highest level. Like you know, we were impatient, younger, and we literally would queue 3 people. And I guess they changed this later in retail sometime after we quit, but they made it so if you 3 queued 3 people voting to kick wouldn't kick. You'd have to have like in the instance that you joined with 3 people, you would have to have a 4th vote
Like
to
an
kick a
external
person.
person kick, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but in Wrath and in early Cataclysm, we were guilty of immediately kicking somebody who did anything wrong. And it was toxic, it was mean. I still feel bad about it, but like we would have worked with that person had that not been an option. And I don't think I would do that now. I think I'd be a lot more patient and
Okay,
understanding, but
but you're asking the game to solve personality problems, right? Like I don't think that's like the game is making it easy to have that personality, I guess. But if you don't
yeah, it's
have
making
that
it easier.
personality, you're not gonna do it, right? And I think we
Maybe.
just need to be better players and
But I
we
don't know
just
that
need
you had
to
that personality. You just did it because Nick and I said, "Hey, vote to kick this guy."
I have sat through full dungeon runs where someone is like berating another person awkwardly, calling him trash.
yeah,
I would much rather have either one of them kicked than that awkward experience of just like,
100%.
oh, no one's willing to leave because they want to finish this heroic that they're locked to now, but this dude's calling him slurs or something crazy.
Well,
Like,
and I think
it gets nuts.
we need to get out of the idea that we are still a no changes. Like you said, yep, we're not a no changes community anymore. We have obviously asked and wanted changes and graciously accepted them, right? I think it is on us to build a community that we enjoy playing with. But we have mega servers now, which we did not have before, which makes this an unreasonable ask and request to make it like old vanilla, right? Like, I just don't think that's possible anymore. So now we have to think of here's what we have, here's what is offered to us. Is this the stone I like? Is this the battle I want to fight right now? For me, no. Mainly because I don't do dungeons, right? and I'm a healer,
You're gonna
and
do
usually
dungeons
I
a
can just
lot
get
though in
in.
Wrath.
Yeah, you're forced to come to
There's
dungeons as a healer. We'll be like, Mel, get on.
there's gonna
Right,
be a
but I'm
lot
not gonna
more
have to pug
reasons.
dungeons. I'm probably not gonna use the dungeon finder, right? Like, I'm not playing on my own
Yeah.
using the dungeon finder. So my and I never have. I've always played with the guild and I've always played with Bob. So I have always had people in my corner, right? I don't know how this impacts people that don't, but that's the vanilla experience that I want is having those people in your corner, right? Like not
Yeah.
that the game makes me do X, Y, or Z. It's that I have a guild that I rely on. I have, Bob that is always playing with me. And I can feel like those are my people, right? If I get into a, pug dungeon, which will never happen, but if I do by myself and somebody kicks me, I'm just gonna tell everybody in my guild. I'm gonna be like, these motherfuckers, look at what they did. And
Well,
guess what?
and if they're not on the
They're gonna be
same
mad
server,
too.
we can't shame them. God damn it.
Well, you know what?
Oh, you
You
make it a
can,
character on their server.
yeah. Let's be honest. You can
Okay.
make a character,
So
and next time you join a dungeon and that person's in there, you may think twice about them, right? Like that's the thing is that if it's all cross server, there's so many people on Benediction that you don't know everybody on the server, right? You just know that you're on Benediction.
so
Well,
what
Like
that's what
what
I'm
there's
a
saying
no
about
server
mega
identity.
servers not having communities. Like, I don't believe that mega servers have communities in the same way that a dead server doesn't. It's like there's too many people to possibly have a community. Um, it's just like you're not interacting with these people again for the most part.
it's
Even if
like
you
the
do
difference
find,
between New York City and, Kansas City. Like
yeah,
it's very different, like a very different climate. But I want to go back to just what I said at the very beginning. I'm upset that it's not in. I want it in. Like that's where I'm at. I'm just saying, like, you asked me, like, back then, I would have said no. I do think this is one of the big things that starts problems that lead us to retail. It's definitely not the thing. There was never, like Asmongold said, it was the, like the cut of 1,000 knives that finally made retail what it was. But like, want it. I just like, I would have liked to have saw some changes to it. And that's
It's just,
where
are
I
we
was at.
reliving the same story? Like here we are reliving the same story, right?
And
Where
doing the
when
same things over again.
Classic
That's
came
what I'm
out,
pointing out.
yeah, that when Classic came out, everybody would have rebelled against looking for dungeon, right? Like that was like the most horrible thing. It ruined WoW, right?
People even
As we
rebelled
went
against the thing that's in
through,
the game now, and it's like it's the same as it was back in the day, not used. Looking for group.
correct. What I'm saying is
it's like
as we
rebelling.
went through and as we went through the content, all of a sudden it's like, yeah, this is a good idea, right? Just like it was back then, it was a good idea. And so
Well, I
I
would
don't think
say
any of us have actually pinpointed where did the change happen from classic to retail that actually ruined it for
it
everybody.
was 1,000
And I
different
say
things.
everybody in quotes, right? But what I think it actually was that what happened was people went into different life stages that were playing in class in vanilla, right? And by the time Cataclysm and other expansions came out, we were in different stages of our lives. And for me, I was in college and, doing different things. And that's really why I left WoW is because I couldn't play anymore. And in my mind, it was one thing I think that really led to me not playing WoW anymore was the daily like requirements of it, right? Not that they had social issues. I always had a guild. I was always social with them. Like I didn't care if somebody else could come in and play and not be social. Like whatever, do your thing. But the reason I left WoW is because I had other social obligations outside of gaming that required me to leave WoW. And I think that's why a lot of people left WoW. Now we get to a point in our lives where we're like, oh, partying isn't as fun as it used to be, right? Like I'm older, have a full-time real job and I,
Hurts more
maybe
than
have
I can say.
kids. And now now we want the classic experience again because we're in like a similar state that we were before where we have a lot of time to game. And I think we just need to really reevaluate our thought process on why do we hate retail? And not that everybody hates retail. I'm just saying, like, why is there so much hate for that? And maybe it got to a different point because there was a different population of people playing it, and
Well,
it wasn't us.
and for me, this definitely wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back. Like this isn't even like everybody makes fun of me, but I think this has got little small things that are bad to possibly allow for more toxicity than there already is. And it's so minute that I still have wanted it for a long time after talking to many people and really thinking about it. I've wanted it, and I was definitely like, I was only laughing because I was just knew that people were going to lose their shit. And I still to this day, we're talking about this, but I said immediately with Herb, who's in chat, I said they're gonna overturn this before we get to Wrath. But it is a fun conversation to talk about because it's so funny to me because when this first was announced, I was a heavy forum reader, went to definite outside forums, everything like, and I would love if somebody could send me one forum post of someone saying this wasn't the best thing since sliced bread. Like we thought it was, oh my God, how did we not ever have this before? What in the, we're just like, this is going to be amazing. And it wasn't till later that people were like, oh, I think it did this, I think it did that. And I think it's interesting the conversation that people are having, but this definitely isn't the thing that like made me hate. Like what made me hate like the game is the loss of talents. Everybody makes fun of me, but transmog, like different things. And I think what you were kind of getting on before, Mel, is I think what broke retail is so many changes from what was originally classic, and each person, each different sets of people disliking certain things a ton. And so it wasn't,
Right.
it wasn't one thing for anybody. I don't think, but this one
Yeah, either
specifically, I
that
think
or
it's going to get overturned.
entering different phases of their lives, right? Like, and then the problem is that so many things have changed over the different expansions that when you quit in Wrath or Cataclysm and then come back 5 years later, that's not your game anymore, right?
That's my biggest problem is when I look at retail WoW, it's like an uncanny valley of what WoW is because it's like
Right.
that kind of looks like a night elf, but it's like
Right,
it's
but if
not a
you
night.
played every expansion, you understand the process that it went through to get to where it is right now, and you probably agreed with it because you played every expansion. But the the thing is that why don't we like hot take? And I am speaking from my own experience. This does not. I'm not saying this is what people should think or this is what people feel, but I think that you should be able to start at any expansion at any time, right? And I know that's probably unrealistic, but if I quit in Wrath and I want to come back to the game, I feel like I should be able to start in Wrath. Now, that's more complicated with an MMO because nobody else is starting in
And
Wrath on,
Shadowlands
That
kind of
linear
did that
story.
though. But you're talking about
what?
raids and stuff. Well, okay, Shadowlands kind of did that. They allowed you to go.
No, I'm talking about like just the concepts, right? Is because if I were to log into retail
Oh,
right now, I would have zero clue as to what the hell I'm doing because I don't know what the talents look like. I don't know
so
what
you're
I have.
saying if you started retail and you choose start in Wrath, you get those talent trees.
Well, and what I'm saying, yeah. And what I'm saying is that
Oh,
I think we're building that process with the classic community, right? Because now we have season of mastery and all of that. If they make a classic fresh and then a TBC fresh and then a wrath fresh, right? Like in essence, you could potentially start at any level
you
or
might
any
be
expansion
on to
of the game.
something. Like, because like with this whole redo, I would have like if you would ask me at the start, would you play a Cataclysm Classic? I would have told you hell no, but I've been thinking real hard lately about like, would I be down for Cataclysm? I think I might be actually now. Like, and that's crazy to think about. Like, yeah, interesting. But
A
if they have
community is a
all
big
the
thing.
oh sorry, go ahead.
The community is the big thing too. Like,
Yeah.
for us, the question of going like into TBC was much easier knowing we had a guild that we would know and
Yeah.
were playing with going through. Whereas like a new expansion's coming out and you're not in a guild and you're like,
Eh,
like I have to make new connections in order to go raid. Like, it's like a whole thing you have to go do to play the game.
yeah.
Whereas if you're kind of dragged along expansion to expansion, it probably is like a much slower decline than just being like, what is going on in
Yeah,
this
and
game?
even
Oh
if you
yeah.
hate certain things, it's like you still go with them because you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, like, I'm doing my thing, right? Like they can do whatever. But I just think there's this disconnect between how the expansions have evolved. And if you jump in 3 expansions later, you're lost.
Yeah. And yeah, well, and with the Seasons of Mastery, like it, it might be a weird thing where people can jump in at different times of the game, but if they keep changing things in them, then that doesn't really it doesn't really it's gonna get complicated going forward. But yeah, but like it is just
Yeah,
like
this is like an ideal scenario, right? Which I know is never going to be a reality or never a possibility because there's
Yeah.
not going to be enough people to raid in, Wrath Classic and TBC Classic and Classic and
First,
Cataclysm Classic. Like,
first we need to install a universal basic income so everyone can quit their jobs, and then I think we'll get enough players
can
to come.
we get some
Wow.
more NFTs though?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that might
If they
really help.
if Blizzard could start leveraging NFTs, I think that we'd come back to retail.
yeah, but you talk
Like,
about being confused. Like I left in Cataclysm, like, started the second raid tier, and then tried to come back mid mop or whatever they offered the level 85 boost. Our level 95 boost. I think it was 95, whatever the cap was there. I think they went, or no, it was 90 because they only went up
definitely very
5 levels in Cataclysm. So yeah, it was level 90, and I just remember being so overwhelmed and opening up the talent tree and seeing what I saw, and I was just like, slash wit. Wait to exit? No. Like, it was just like,
Well,
no.
it's like I feel like so I don't know if you guys have ever played Hearthstone.
I
But
have.
I used to play a ton of Hearthstone, right?
Well, I
Then I
did
got
because I played for years before
yeah,
you.
yeah, I know. Well, then I got a bunch and then I got really busy and I didn't play for a little while. And then I came back and I was like, "No, I don't have time for this." Like, I don't have it's a free game and I don't have time to look up what I'm supposed to play and how I'm supposed to play it to play the game. And yes, maybe that's just me being a competitor and wanting to know, but like there's so many changes all the time that unless they consistently play it, like I go back now and I'm like, nope, can't play it. I haven't played it in years
Dude,
because years ago I went back and I was like, I don't know how to play this.
I quit before you. I quit before they even did the battlegrounds. I quit at that the troll expansion whenever we were living in Colorado, right? And then they talked about Hearthstone Classic, so I was like, "Wait, I kind of want to check that out." I'm going to jump in Hearthstone. I loaded Hearthstone up. I think I told Yip this a while back, but I sat there for it had to be 5 or 10 minutes with just shit popping up on my screen and me clicking it off and not understanding what they were telling me and not wanting to read it, just wanting to jump in the game. And it kept happening so much, I just closed it. I was like, okay, I give up. I'm not going to try Hearthstone Classic because I hadn't been on it so long. They just showed me all this crap, I guess, that had changed. And I was just like,
Everything that you had missed.
It's
yeah.
something it's something about these games though, because there's more to them than just having fun. Um, so like if I just wanted to have fun, I would like just play shooters or I would just play like a platformer game that I think is fun. But there's something more about like there is work involved in playing some games. Like
Right.
Hearthstone, you need to know what other people are playing, you need to know what you're playing, you might have to fix your deck up. but that work it like achieves some level of satisfaction greater. But there
Right.
is like that barrier of like it's like for me for WoW, it's like setting up my UI. If I come back to retail, my UI is broken. I'm like,
Yeah.
actually,
Dude, that's what happened to me. I
Not.
was so excited. I knew what I was jumping into, getting into Stay Safe's Sunwell group, but I was so deflated when I realized, oh, I'm gonna have to like they're going quick, and if I want to get in, I have to go. Like, but if I had like an hour to like go to the YouTube and look up, because I always have to look up how to move all of my stuff over, like to the thing. And if I had that time and enough time to get all my BIS stuff, it probably would have been cool. But like, it made it so uncool because I was like half of the person that I normally am in game. You know,
Dude,
it's
this
just
is like me the first time I was traveling after the like big update in the last raid. And I was like, I get on and it's like, whoa, what the I was like, none of my key bindings are working. Like mass dispel doesn't show up on my screen. Like I don't even understand what's happening. And oh my god, it was such a hot mess. I can't.
makes me so anxious. Like I get like overwhelmed immediately. Like, oh my god, my buttons aren't working. Like, oh no, this
Yeah.
is
And it like luckily that was when we were doing hydro like when this happened, it was when we were doing hydro still all the way back. So like really those pulls don't really matter. So I'm like sitting here frantically like in this hotel on my little laptop screen. Like I'm used to having multiple screens and when I just have my laptop screen, I'm really struggling. And I'm like trying to fix it all and I'm trying to like test it and I'm like now I don't have any mana because I've been testing and like oh my god, it was such
well,
it's very stressful. But back to what you were saying is I do think that I think there's a benefit to there being a like barrier to entry, right? Like there is with Hearthstone or WoW or something, right? Like you have to look up things, you have to understand your class, you have to know how to use it. And I think that that's great. If you don't want to do that, play Candy Crush. That's what I do when I'm like just need to like play a game and don't want to have to think about anything. I
is
play
that
Candy
Candy
Crush
Crush?
because yeah,
Oh, that thing you play? That's what Candy Crush looks like now?
yeah,
Oh, I didn't even know that was Candy Crush. She
yeah.
plays this
I
game where
just
she like just hits bubbles,
mm,
does stuff. I don't know what she's
yeah,
doing.
I like move things around. Yeah. And you know what? The glorious thing about that is that I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to have a strategy in place. I can just move things around and feel accomplished.
yeah, it's fun. Like yeah, like I guess like some games just have that startup work. in
They
order.
do. But if you don't have time for that, you don't want to get into that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that was my barrier with Hearthstone is like, I didn't have enough time to look at all of that stuff. And I didn't have enough time, definitely, to keep up with all of that stuff, even if I found the initial time to like look it up. And yeah, so
So okay,
sorry,
so
rant.
yeah, no problem at all, no problem at all. So just to kind of closing on this, I do think this is going to be overturned. I think they took a pulse. I think there's too many people that want it, that want LFD for it not to actually come in. I don't think this is going to be the hill they decide to die on. Like lots of people say 50-50, but I think it depends. Like I look through the comments of different creators and it seemed to be like 70-30 to whatever that creator thought was the right thing. Like Scotty J was like 70-30 wanting LFD, like Def Camps was like, 70-30 the other way. I th- so it leads me to believe that it's kind of split right down the middle. Like, and if I had to take a gauge for it, it'd probably be more people wanting LFD. And I'm one of the people that want it, even though I do think there is problems with it, and I do see problems. I think in the current times we live, I think the problems are not as heavy. Like the the benefits outweigh the problems, and that would be where I would sit at. But if we don't get it, one thing Brian did talk about when he talked to Josh is he talked about possibly making the looking for group finder a lot better. And what I took that as is you're basically gonna do LFD, but just make people go to the dungeon. Like, that's what I took it as. I could be wrong on that, but
Yeah, like a role selector queue kind of thing, but
yeah.
it doesn't have
Which is
all the other
basically what
extra
you have
functionality.
with Bulletin, right?
I think, like,
No,
I
Bulletin,
love that we're on Benediction, and I hate to die on this hill, but it needs to be cross server, or they aren't fixing the problem that they caused to begin with.
and
Like, if
I
we were
think
still on
that's
white main, we'd be freaking out right now.
I think and
True.
I think cross server's fine, like, but I would love it would be
Yeah,
better
like
for
that
me
wait
if it was like a
periods.
3 to 5 minute wait. It doesn't have to be long.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I think
you
that's
know what I
totally fine.
mean? Like, if you're on a bigger server, you're gonna get your queue, like, a lot faster. Like, there's no reason to make the other people wait a 10-minute queue or something like that. But, like, I think it probably should come, but if it doesn't, they have said that they're going to work on making the other tools better, so I wouldn't get too distraught. I really don't think there's some people that say, "Oh, well, I'm not gonna play because of this," and I call bullshit. I don't think,
Yeah, we're
like
all playing.
yeah, anybody that doesn't want it, if it's in, is not gonna not play. Like, I think it's a very small group that's actually gonna die on that hill and quit, so
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is if you want it in, the problem is anyone can just be like, "Well, it wasn't in originally when it came out." Like, they could just release it later, and
well,
then
and Scotty J was like that's what Scotty J said. He was like he was pissed, and he took it at the start that just mean it's not going to be in at the start. And then later in the day, he's like, "Well, now that I'm looking into it, it appears that they just think it's just not going to be in." And it was like his hair was on fire. And I was like, "I'm sending you an e-hug," like
he gets it. He
But
gets my plight
I thought it was a good thing to definitely talk about, So
for sure.
yeah, I think we're all kind of like on the page that we're kind of like, I mean, Yip wants it hardcore. I'm okay with it and kind of want it. Like, I'm just not like
I
want it,
want
want it.
it hardcore. I I think it's objectively better for the game, so we don't have to get more into that, but
Yeah, Mel doesn't care. I kind of
I-
want it, but like not really care if it's not in there either at the same time. So yeah, that's what we got for the Reloaded crew. And now the very last thing is in an article on IGN. I'm bummed that Josh didn't get to talk to Brian about this, but in an article from IGN, the team said that they have thought about changing raid lockout stuff. So originally in Wrath, just to let everybody know, during the trial of the Crusader, is when they implemented heroic versions of 25-man and 10-man raid content. Was not in Oldawar or Nax or anything prior. This is actually when Mel and we quit. I don't know, 2/3 of the way through Trial of the Crusader, and one of the reasons is rating jumped to just an absurd amount up because they were counted as separate lockouts. So we were basically
So what
required to
year
do.
did Wrath originally release?
I don't remember why.
I'm just curious where it was at in my life.
Oh
me
well, you went to do your masters, but a couple months after we quit. But so
You
basically,
know, Yep. Wait, Yep. I think you might know.
I think it was 2008 to my knowledge, if I do the math. End of 2008.
2000.
Wrath?
Wrath of the Lich King.
No, I
Really?
don't. It
No
was
way.
yeah, it was like
No,
2009, right?
end of 2008, I believe. I just
Trial
did
of
the
the
math in my
Crusader,
head.
though.
Oh, Trial of the Crusader. I don't know. Mel just asked Wrath, right?
Yeah.
What is Trial of the Crusader?
All right. Let me just go back on why it's what came after Oldawar. Okay, so
November 2018 or 2008.
okay, so I was almost 2009. Gotcha. So that was basically you. We were required to do both 25 mans on that, and you were required to do it because you got like you still got geared. It was just a better way to gear everybody out, and it just became too much for us, and we ended up quitting around that time. Well, a lot of people have
Yeah, I
complained
was still
about
in my
that.
undergrad at that time. I was finishing my undergrad
Yeah,
at
you
that
went and
time.
did your master's basically right when Star Wars: The Old Republic came out. Oh, yeah, that was Cataclysm. Yeah, we came back for Cataclysm,
Mhm.
and then you quit Cataclysm because of your master's. So they're talking about possibly making it to where you can only do one or the other, and that's like that's they're talking about making that change instead of just having the option open to do all of it because you can already do 10 and 25 bands. And then to top it off, like now you have four different of the same raid that you can do. Just one's
Yeah,
harder.
doing four is a little bit much. Doing 10 man and 25 man, and then choosing your difficulty makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
And then yeah, we're psycho, and we're gonna end up doing like all four for a month until we all hate each other, and
Yep.
then it's gonna
100%.
be like, I'm sick of this.
Well, and I think the idea was like when they put this in place, their thought process was people will choose to do either 10 or 25 man, and then they'll choose to do either, you know, heroic or regular, right? And that just didn't become the case. But what the problem is that if you get better gear from the heroic, which I think was the case, right? Like you
Definitely
got
the
better
case.
gear in the heroic
Definitely the case.
ones than you did in the
And that
normal
still
ones.
exists to this day, except now they have what, four different ones? Looking for raid, normal, heroic, and mythic.
Right,
This
which is fine, I guess, but in our mind it was I remember when we were maybe it was Cataclysm, but I think it was Wrath, where we were like, "Hey, we'll just get a group of 10 players to, friends and we'll raid together." But then our
It was
competitive
Kata.
nature set in and we're like, "Well, we're not going to get the best
Oh
gear
no,
because we
that
don't
was
have
the start of Wrath
25."
too.
Yeah, we're not going to get the best gear because we don't have 25. And if we can't do heroics, we can't even get the best 10 man gear. And like that was so defeating, right? Whereas I like the idea that if you have a heroic versus a non-heroic, that you just get more gear, not different gear, right?
Yep. Yeah, that was the thing we always thought should have been the way it was. Like, so yeah, you get the gear slower, but like everybody has a
You can
chance
still
to get the
do
gear.
it.
This
Yeah.
reminds me of I think it's an Onion video or like sketch. It's like Subway's talking about $5 footlongs or footlongs. They're like we have perfectly portioned, shareable size sandwiches. One sandwich for you, one sandwich for your loved one. And they're like, people are eating the whole footlong themselves. Like you're eating a foot-long sandwich by yourself. It's like you guys are
Yeah,
doing 4 lockouts of the one raid a week? What?
exactly.
But that's
Like
what,
people didn't think about that.
yeah, like it was definitely expected of you in our guild, and who knows what the other guilds were like, to do both normal and heroic 25 man. And then if you
But
wanted to
only
keep your
after we joined a
consideration up,
different guild. Only
oh,
after
you're
we joined a
talking, yeah,
different guild, right?
yeah. In Wrath, we started out, we're just going to play Wrath casually, group of friends, 10-man
Right.
groups. We're going to do that. We did it for a few weeks. We were like, hey, we
And we
met,
said no.
what's his name? The two Canadian gay guys that lived
Yeah.
together, that ran another guild. We
Yeah.
merged with them, not together. Like, we merged just once a week to do 25-man necks. Then our friends quit, and you and I were like, let's find an amazing guild to join. And we joined an amazing guild before Oldawar, and then we were doing the crazy stuff. And then when TOC came out, this is like the TLDR. When TOC came out, we were expected to do at the minimum 25-man heroic and regular. And then if you wanted to be really considered for raid, you were at least getting heroic 10-man in with a guild or with a guild run that wasn't sanctioned by the guild, but you find time to do that outside of the 40 to 50 hours we progression raid a week. So do that
So
on
far.
your weekends. Like that was basically what we fell into, and what inevitably made us miss Ice Crown in Wrath.
Yeah, which inevitably made me quit WoW, not Dungeon Finder.
Well, but
Just
you
to
ended up
throw that
quitting
out there.
WoW and Kata though when we came back to just try
Right.
because you were
Because I started grad school and I did not have time
yeah.
for this ridiculousness. But
How
that's what I'm
dare
saying.
you?
Is that I think that we all have these blind eyes about like, did you quit WoW? It was because of Dungeon Finder, it was because of the community, right? No, most of the time it was because crap happened in life.
Yeah, I
And
did start playing WoW less when I entered the workforce. That, that did
Yeah, see,
line up pretty well.
I was working 40 to 45 hours a week, coming home and then immediately jumping on and playing till, from 5 o'clock till 10 or midnight each night. It was nuts. Like
That was my
5
college hours.
it
That
was
was,
it was
like, playing is
crazy.
fun.
But yeah, so hopefully they kind of like find some sort of happy medium there. And I really wish, like, I don't think this is going to happen, but I really wish the gear was just the same and you got more of it and you got titles to actually show that you're the better, like, you're better at the game. Because it's just like, that's why I think Mythic is so weird because almost nobody can do it. And like, you're never going to have that gear. And like, I don't want to play a game where I can't have the best stuff. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I don't know that. Like, I think there's a place for mythic writing, right? Like, I think that that motivates people to continue to play because they can have gear that somebody else doesn't have because they're not as good or
But
not as coordinated or
it's
not as
not it's
putting in as much effort.
not as good. Like basically it's a job for like I don't know that there's any dad doing mythic rating.
Probably not. But
Like
when
at
you get
least not at the
on,
top end.
yeah, and I mean, I think you have to temper your expectations here, right? Like they're not as concerned about the dad who was not getting the mythic grading gear as they are about the ones that are actually. I think they're concerned about all of them because they're all paying the same monthly subscription. So
This is a whole
I think,
conversation though that's crazy long if we actually
yeah,
got into it though.
yeah, I'm not trying to add another hour to our conversation. We're already, on our short podcast,
Yeah, but none
going
of that
about two
comes
hours
in.
long.
Yeah, none of that comes in Wrath, but they are thinking about giving us choice and making things a little bit easier. So, like a guild like ours, I would figure we would do normal mode, beat that. Then once we have that beaten, we'd be like, all right, now we're doing heroic modes instead of like, pushing ourselves crazy. Like it'd be a progression that could be kind of neater than we push through
I like the
normal
idea of being
every
able to do
week,
10 and
regardless.
25.
Huh?
Yeah. I like the idea of being able to do 10 and 25, but
I do. Yeah, I like that
picking
too.
a like level. Like you can do 10 heroic or 10 normal, and you can do 25 heroic or 25 normal. You can't do all four. Like that's ridiculous
Yeah, I
because I
think they will
know I'll
end
be
up making that
bullied
change.
into doing them.
Did you do a lot of these, Yip? Back in Wrath? I don't know where
I
you
mean, I
were
did.
in Wrath.
The only thing I didn't see at all was like any deep into Ice Crown, and I casually rated all of this. Like I saw a little bit of Old War. Trial of Crusader is like pretty easy content, so I did a lot of that, and then a lot of Nax in Wrath. Nothing serious. I was in a casual guild. I was like young high school and in a guild with like stoner college kids who I was like,
High
these guys are.
school,
I was like, these guys are so cool. Whoa, all the time. Like,
you're
oh
so
my god.
young.
Did you yeah, like I don't remember what it was, but I remember we went back and um we got like we went back in Cataclysm. We went back and did we did both Ulduar and ICC. That was the first time I'd done ICC. We did each of them. One of them was for a title, and one of them was for a mount.
Yeah, it's like
And we got both of them. Was it the
If you do
mount
like
for
all the
ICC?
achievements, I think all of them have a mount. So all the achievements, if you do like all the achievements in a raid, I think you get a mount, and it's like there's like the Ironbound Proto Drake or something like that, and
It
like
was some
you get
proto
different
Drake.
Proto Drakes for doing them. I only did like the heroic ones. I think if you got all the heroic achievements, you got one. Also, I could be making that up. Um, but I was a heroic guy. I really liked doing heroics, and heroic achievements were really cool. That was like there was a lot of content to do in
Yeah,
Raft. It was good.
that was the only thing that, like, that was the only time I actually killed the Lich, the Lich King
Yeah.
was when we were in Kata.
Yeah, I went back like way later to like solo him, but other than that, I never got to see that stuff.
A last little tidbit that I had forgotten is, they did say that achievements are not gonna be account wide, they're going to be just on the player. That kind of worries me thinking that, like, maybe we don't get the mount tab right off the bat,
Yeah,
or the the pet tab or something right off the bat, which is gonna mess up all my plans because I don't want to have to buy all the mounts and then like throw them away because I don't have
that'd
bank
be a
space.
shame.
Yeah,
That would
that
be
or
really silly.
I'm just gonna have like 75 mounts in my bank and no bank space.
And
So
throw out all the old stuff.
That's
I'm
what you
sure
get for trying to get the mount achievement.
there's
Same.
a lot of stuff that's gonna change. I think that's why they were so quick with what they said. Like I'm sure we've got
Yeah,
time.
we can look
Let
at
your
more
voice be
details.
heard. If you want LFD, let your voice be heard because I really think this is going to get overturned. But I think it's a
Rise
fun
up with me.
conversation
Rise up with me.
for the
Rise up with you.
alliance.
Yeah. For
Oh,
LFD.
Oh, and all right. So yeah, that's really it. I don't think we have an add-on of the week, do we? Game Freak, what's up in chat? How you doing?
hey, hey.
Yeah, we don't believe in add-ons. I actually play no add-ons whatsoever, so
Oh, yeah. So you're playing the PTR then?
yeah. It's
Oh
so
my god.
uncomfortable. You load in, everything's wrong, and you're just like, oh, this isn't
It's
it.
not even worth it, I
And the-
feel like at most times. I'm like,
Well,
nope.
and I've gotten used to not even just bagged on Addy bags, which separates all my stuff for me in nice little categories.
Yep.
And I opened up my bags. First, I hit B, and it just opened up one bag, and I was like, "Oh yeah." And I hit Shift B, and was like, "Oh
Shifty.
God, I don't even know where anything's at." Then I bought the Skull of Gul'dan. I was like, "Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I can't find. I don't have a
Again,
search option to find it in my bags."
back to my point about why the heck is the Hearthstone in your bags? Like that makes zero sense to me. I would like to know, is
She's
that
gonna
still in
die on that
retail?
hill.
Is Hearthstone still in retail in
Not
your
only
bag?
are there, you have like 4 of them, I think.
No.
You have one
Get
you have one that takes you to your garrison, one that takes you to
listen. This
Dalaran,
was
one that
this
takes you
was
to
a
your hut.
very like did we not learn from like druids can teleport to Moonglade, right? That's a spell. That's not in your bag. Like,
Yeah, you have
come
a Moonblade
on.
stone. Rub the
Yeah.
Moonblade stone and go home, druids.
Yeah, but it's not in your bag. You don't have to carry it around and worry
But
about selling it.
if it wasn't in my bag ever, yeah, maybe you could take it away now, but if it wasn't ever in my bag, then I wouldn't have a Hearthstone squishy stress ball. And that's one of the coolest things I have. It's in
Why?
storage at
You
the
would
moment, but
still use your Hearthstone. Like, it would like, it's not like because Teleport to Moonglade wasn't in my bag, I never used it as a druid. I still
oh,
used it all the time.
that's another thing. Okay, we were talking about the squishy Hearthstone. Did you guys see the almost life-size meeting stone in the background of the room that they were having the
Oh.
WoW talk in?
Yeah, I guess I did. I didn't really
I was like, at first I thought it was a big Hearthstone. I was like, oh no, that's a meeting stone.
uh,
Like that was
oh,
really crazy. Like I want that here in my room.
yeah, honestly, WoW and Blizzard memorabilia all together is really sick. Like if I had a Lich King statue, if I had some Murlocs, like everything they have, all the iconography is very good.
Yeah, the
Well, we
last
will let you
BlizzCon,
know at Comic-Con if there's any Hearthstone or if there's any like WoW
cool
I
stuff.
actually got a
pictures and
lot.
things.
I bought a ton of it Sometimes they have a spring sale where stuff is like weirdly cheap. And one time I just loaded up on stuff. It was like plushies were like $2. I was like, I don't even want this. I gotta get this.
Dude,
A plushie fairy dragon's only $2.
I've got a
Dude,
ton
I'm
of season 1
horrible.
Overwatch gear that was like
Yeah.
Overwatch League gear that was on sale.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of stuff that we got at Comic-Con or BlizzCon from Overwatch, but honestly, like last time, like the only times we've gone to BlizzCon has been when we were involved in Overwatch, not
Yeah.
so much WoW, right? And so now that we're back into WoW, I don't have any of that stuff,
Well,
and now I'm sad.
the last BlizzCon we went to, they gave the Horde statue or the Alliance statue, and since Mel didn't care about either of them, I got both. So I have both of those statues, and that was a cool giveaway there.
Yeah. Well, because at the time I didn't play WoW. I was like, I don't
You
care.
did.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, the last BlizzCon we met
did.
IDD, Stoof.
Oh yeah, we had just started playing and I wasn't as convinced.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
we
weren't
were
sure yet.
Yeah, we
I was
were in
still like
Molten
on the
Core.
fence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had been with the
Oh,
guild.
were we? Oh, okay, maybe. that
Yeah,
was-
we had been
okay.
with the guild. It was the week after I spent the stupid amount of DKP on that stupid two-handed sword that everybody
really?
still makes the obsidian edge blade. Everybody still
Yeah,
makes
for
fun of me.
For 80 DKP.
It was literally the week after that, and it was 80 DKP exactly.
we were very competitive at the like. We weren't chill yet in the guild, like not you and
Yeah.
me, but I mean like anybody. So it was
Yeah.
like I feel bad, but obviously I'm gonna let the warriors spend his DKP on this thing. Like
100%.
okay,
Yeah.
it's fine.
That's his fault, right?
We were so new that like we just happened to run into IDD QD and Stoof, but like we freaking I posted in the Discord like, hey, does anybody want to meet up? And there were a bunch of people there. Nobody answered. So like we didn't meet anybody from the guild. Like we'd only raided with them for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks.
I mean, it wasn't very long, right? Like we had just
Yeah.
gotten into raids and stuff.
Although
Like that's why I don't remember being involved in WoW when we went, because
There were a lot of
usually like
just saying though, the people that didn't answer missed out because, you know, if you would have hung out with us, you could have went to all the crazy cool parties.
yeah, I mean, me and Bob
Missed
are
out.
very cool. Definitely.
I don't know if we're cool, but we definitely got invited to a lot of parties that time around.
Yeah, we know how to make friends that are invited to cool parties. Okay.
All right. Well, I think that's it for the episode this week. No add-on of the week. Maybe we'll have something next week. I feel like there was something that I got recently, but I don't remember. It's too much. It's too much. All right,
Yeah, we're
guys.
good.
Yep. Oh, shit. Nope. Jumping ahead.
Yeah, too soon.
Whoa.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You can also follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. If you want to send us your WoW stories, you can do so by sending them to wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to join the MASH Discord and interact with the host of this show or any other MASH show, it's mash.gg/Discord. Ratings and reviews. We need your help, guys. It's been a while since we went 2 weeks without anything. So iTunes, Apple Podcasts, just leave us a review. Tell us something. Tell us a fun story. Give us something. Sometimes they spark a lot of conversation. Just send us something. And you can also leave reviews at warcraftradio.com/directory. If you'd like to help the MASH network, you can do so.
I have it.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to do it?
Sure.
Oh, I'm not ready for this.
All right,
Okay. What?
you got to be like ready to jump on it at this point, though. If you want to do it in the future, this is a pain.
No,
to
you
edit.
always ask me, and I never have it up. And I finally I just started doing the closing, pulled it up, and so I feel like I wanted to do it.
I was just gonna do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Because I don't know if I have the updated info.
All right, that's gonna help me later in post.
Sorry.
If you would like to help out the MASH network, you can see all the ways to do that by going to mtb.gg/support. The Masters Buttons Network thanks you for that. All right. Yep. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at The Yip Show.
All right. And Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Mel Overwatch, or you can find me in game on Mel Arena.
Awesome, awesome. And you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can also find me on the same channel that we do the show on, twitch.tv/BlazinBob. All right, guys, let's get out of this short episode. Sometimes we have to have short ones,
Gotta throw a short Wednesday one in.
And just a reminder to everybody, the GDKP interview with Game Freak will be out on Monday. So stay tuned for that. And we should be back to normal form the following week. I believe Jordy's coming on the podcast to guest. So look forward to that. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy 420. 420. 420.
It is 420. I should have mentioned that.
Oh, God.
Dude, it's 420, dude. Funyuns, man.
Whoa.
Ugh.